Hey there, Go community, it's Scott. This week on The Gaming Outsider, Zack, CB, and I answered your video game-related topic questions. In news, there's a bunch of game delays, including Cyberpunk 2077, and we also have November's freebies for games with gold in PlayStation Plus. New games discussed include Watchdog Legions, YesterMorrow, The Dark Pictures, Little Hope, Ghostrunner, Cobra Kai, The Karate Kid Saga Continues, and If Found. This is the way, and this is The Gaming Outsider. Greetings, programs, and welcome to episode 319 of The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community. It's Monday, November 2nd. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and joining me are my friend Zach Parkerson.
Hey, man. Excited for this episode.
Are you? Why is that?
Community questions, of course.
Oh, that's right. You love community questions. I always forget. Every time we get them, that's the only time I hear from Zach on Discord. Yeah. It's like, hey, we need questions. So, yeah, he's very excited. And also Chris Behrensmeyer.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much, man. I am excited for Saturday. You and I are going to be hanging out on Saturday.
Yeah.
First time in a long time. I haven't seen you in about a couple of weeks now.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's been, a little over 2 weeks since I saw you.
Yeah, it's been a minute, but we are heading up to Milwaukee with the guys from EXPcast. We're going to be doing a Extra Life charity event with those guys. We got invited, so I'm looking very forward to that. I have no idea what I'm going to play, but I'm going to do nothing but play games, because I have not played a lot of games.
I know what I'm going to do.
What's that?
I'm going to tease Kip Winger.
Are you? Yeah, for those not in the know, Dan Lubinsky from the show, we give him a hard time. I call him Kip Winger all the time because he wears like leather jackets and bandanas and stuff, and it's. I don't think he appreciates it very much, but it makes me smile.
It's all a good fun.
I have been toying with the idea of running through Dead Space 2 again because I have not played it in a while, and I really like that game, so I'm considering doing that.
Do you
have any idea what you're going to play?
Keep mentioning it every week.
I know. That, or maybe finally actually diving into Ghost of Tsushima, because I still haven't touched that game, except for the intro.
I would vote for that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because Game of the Year is coming.
That's true. I probably should at least...
You owe it to the site to play Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay.
Or maybe at least Avengers.
No. That's not going to come up.
Yeah, I don't think Avengers is going to make it anywhere near my top 10.
Probably not.
I think
if it couldn't crack my top 10, there's no way it's making Scott's.
That's a good point. But speaking of Dead Space, did you guys see Kevin Hunterford finally dove into the original this week?
Yay! Welcome to the party.
And do you remember how much he fought that, Zach? Like I think he said it on our horror game episode last week, where he's like, "I just have never been able to get into scary games. I just don't like them, and people keep telling me to play Dead Space."
Oh yeah.
And he finally decided to just go for it, and he freaking loves it.
No surprise.
So, yeah. I feel like Dead Space doesn't fall in the same category as a normal scary game. It's an action game. Great story.
It's transcendent. I was wearing my Dead Space hoodie just today.
Were you?
Yeah,
is it one of those that's got like the spine at the back, like the lights at the back?
Yeah, it's got the health bar on the back.
Yeah.
I have the full health sweater.
It makes us whole.
Yeah.
Speaking of other games that we've talked about and people are finally playing, Isai Munoz up in Milwaukee is finally playing Moonlighter, and he really likes that game. I've been championing that game for 2 years now?
At least.
Yeah, that's a solid game. You played it too? You liked it?
Oh yeah, I did.
I played it. Yeah. I did not like it.
Yeah, I can see. I mean, it's very diverse in its gameplay. Like there's just two different things going on. I would not fault you for not loving Moonlighter, although it clicked for me quite a bit.
It's no Dead Cells.
Hades or bust on roguelikes.
Yeah. I feel like that's the last time we're ever going to get Zach to play a roguelite.
I'll keep trying them.
Unless it's from Supergiant Games. Then he'll be like, all right, I'll try it.
I tried Dead Cells. Did not do it.
Still not Children of Morta, though.
Yeah, I played like 10 minutes of it. It wasn't bad, but I'll have to get back to it.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into the week's news. First off, got some delays this week. Several games have been pushed back again. Surprise, surprise. And we've also got the freebies for Xbox games with gold and November's PlayStation Plus freebies. News is a little light this week. Where do you guys want to start?
Cyberpunk getting delayed after they promised absolutely no delays is kind of funny.
It is. Now it's on December 10th is the official release date for that game. And boy, fans are not happy.
I'm happy because I was worried this game would just sweep the Game Awards because all the voting would happen while it was, fresh in everyone's minds. But now it's ineligible for the year, so
yeah, that's cool. A good point. That's a good point. I'm happy because now it won't get in the way at all of Valhalla, because that was going to be a big thing that week. Was like, which not for me because I'm not too super interested in Cyberpunk, but I don't know. I really want to play Valhalla.
Right. And Spider-Man comes out around then too.
Does it? Okay, yeah. So we got a little bit of wiggle room.
Yeah.
I'm still willing to bet there's one more delay
for Cyberpunk.
I'm really thinking January.
I don't know, man. They want to get those Christmas numbers, right?
Hopefully.
Well, plus there's been a whole lot of talk with the crunch and everything too, so that's...
The game has gone gold, allegedly, so hopefully. Is this only like the 5th time in history a game got delayed after going gold?
I don't know. I've never kept track of those numbers at all.
I think so.
Like NBA Elite got straight up canceled after it was printed. And then Thrill Kill was a game that went gold and then was pulled from shelves before it could release. I mean,
this game's not getting pulled though. There's no way this game's not coming out.
No, yeah, it's in very limited company of games that are, hey, we're done with this, and then also now we're retreading on that.
Yeah. And I still don't really fully understand what the game is. I'm still very...
It's Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves, the game.
It's breathtaking.
All I really need to know. The one that hurts me a little bit more is Far Cry 6 getting pushed back to April, because I was really looking forward to that game. I was looking forward to that way more than Cyberpunk, for sure. And also Rainbow Six Quarantine.
A game which no one cares about.
I haven't heard a lot of people talk about that. I didn't even remember that game existed until we saw it at E3 or saw it at one of the press conferences. I was like, oh yeah, there's another Rainbow Six game coming. But I will say that I think that game is going to be a lot more popular than we think it's going to be, because I keep hearing people talking about still playing Siege like crazy, especially in the kid community. Kids love Rainbow Six Siege, like an insane amount.
Well, of course, they could be toxic as all get out.
They can?
Yeah, Rainbow, like any multiplayer game, man, just toxicity.
Rainbow Six Quarantine bugs me because it's a game that if Tom Clancy was still alive would absolutely not exist.
Why do you say that?
Because when he was alive, all the Tom Clancy games had to get checked by his people.
Oh,
and now that it's just his family,
his brand.
Yeah, the term for it, I forget. The estate, just because of the Clancy estate, they are much looser. That's why you get like the mobile games now, or you get wacky characters in Rainbow Six, because all that stuff would not have flown with Tom Clancy around. Like everything in Splinter Cell or Ghost Recon had to be products. They had to be actively in military development. Right. They couldn't even be theoretical. The tech, it had to be in development. Like, that's crazy. But now they're just like, check out this guy with a robot arm. He's punching through the wall to snap your neck.
Didn't he pass away before The Division came out?
Yeah.
Because I remember that was like a big deal. Like, this game would never have existed if he was alive.
Yeah. Tom Clancy's branding is night and day since his passing.
Is The Division
is correct?
A Tom Clancy property? Was there like a novel based on The Division that I don't remember?
No.
No.
But neither was Splinter Cell.
Oh, okay. I did not realize Division was Tom Clancy for some reason.
The first one, I mean, it was like right on the front of the box, like Tom Clancy's The Division.
Right.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't know if I ever noticed that before.
And then the Tom Clancy got a little bit smaller for The Division 2.
That is almost like they didn't want to risk the brand.
Yeah.
And before somebody tries to correct me, there were Splinter Cell books, but they all released after the game.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
CB, anything from these Xbox or PlayStation freebies grab you at all?
Well, I do want to talk about the PlayStation ones for a second.
Okay.
We have Bug Snacks for PS5 only.
Which is a launch title, right?
Yeah, launch title that's being essentially given away for free.
Mm-hmm.
Shadow of War and Hollow Knight Voidheart Edition.
Great game, by the way.
Yes, it is. It kind of bugs me a little, the fact that seeing a launch title being given away for free.
It bugs you?
Yeah. Haha, jokes.
You could snack on that game all year long.
Oh, man, it's getting worse.
Shut up.
Why does it bother you, though? It seems like a goodwill thing, or is it quality of the game an issue?
Maybe both. The reason why I find it kind of odd that there were people that are legitimately excited for this game. And they're like, oh, yeah, I'm going to get a PS5 because it has exclusives like Bug Snacks. Oh, they're just getting it for free now.
Why is that bad?
It just seems a very odd thing to do with a launch title. Like right out the gate, they're like, brand new system. Hey, we're just going to have to give this game away for free.
But to be fair, when that game was revealed, it looked like a game that would be given away on PlayStation Plus. And then everybody kind of went crazy about it. It became like an internet meme for some reason. Like everyone was like Bug Snacks, like I can't wait to play Bug Snacks, and it was like a, I don't know, ironic situation where they're excited about it ironically. And I never understood it because the game does not look like anything I want to play. But that's a personal preference to me.
Well, What happens to all the people that pre-ordered a PS5 but won't get theirs till like December?
Well, luckily, CB, Bugsnack is free until January 2021.
Seems like a long time to be giving away an exclusive property for free.
But that may be why. For that very reason you're talking about, because there's not going to be a lot of people getting PS5s.
Well, maybe because it is such a meme with kids, maybe it's a calculated decision of like, because kids are obsessed with that Bugsnack song, you break down the adult, you know, the father who's like, maybe I'll get a PS5, but the kid won't shut the hell up about Bugsnax. You're like, well, I guess I'll get a PS5 for myself, and he can keep quiet about the damn Bugsnax game.
Yeah. It just seems very odd to me, though, with giving away a game like that.
But it's odd in our favor.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just saying it's odd.
Yeah,
I like it. Fighting about free game.
I know. Also, he's like, this is a problem, guys. We need to be paying for this game.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look worth the money. But, speaking of games that are not worth money, did you see that Destruction All Stars is also going to be a PlayStation Plus game?
I did see that, but I don't even remember what that game is. Is it like an arena?
That's that $70 launch game that they had shown maybe 10 minutes total of footage, and nobody knows what the hell kind of game. It looks like it's half 3D platformer, half vehicular arena combat a la Twisted Metal.
Yes.
But either way, it's now delayed until April, and it'll be free. So speaking of games that they got no faith in.
Right.
Well,
we had that conversation that if this was a game that was given away free, like Rocket League, it probably would have succeeded.
Yeah, trying to charge $70 for that game and all was stupid in this economy. But
yeah,
it's no,
it's a movie quote in there somewhere. It's a movie quote.
Just watching the smoke turning out of your ears right now is insane.
Here's what's funny to me: Shadow of War is on there. They're giving away for PlayStation Plus. I'm sitting next to a copy of Shadow of War that I cannot give away. Like we had it at our last community game night. We had a stack of games, and I got rid of almost everything. I got 2 or 3 games left, and I was like, anybody want a copy of Shadow of War on PS4? And like nobody would take it. And now it's going to be on PlayStation Plus, which cracks me up.
And it's funny that you bring that game up because I actually just heard, what was it, yesterday, that they're shutting down the online servers for that game.
That game's only been out for like, 2-3 years?
Yeah.
There was
abandoned.
Online servers. What online component is there in Shadow of War? I thought that was a straight single-player game.
Surely they have. The first game had leaderboards for the challenges.
Oh, is that what it is? Just like for the little arenas or whatever?
Oh, no, because I think in the Shadow of War, couldn't you... your orcs like get sent over to somebody else's game to hunt them down?
I think
Possibly.
so.
I'm pretty sure that was a feature. I don't remember because I also didn't play Shadow of War and I couldn't be bothered to buy it even when it was on sale for $5 a couple weeks ago. Because who the hell wants to play Shadow of War?
I tried it, man. I played it. It just did not grab me like the first one did. The first one was so good.
Yeah.
The first one already kind of felt weird because you had to restart the Nemesis system when you got to the second island already. So the idea of doing that for 60 hours did not seem like a good time.
Right. Plus, like, they had unskippable... Like, you had to listen to every orc conversation. You know, like when you're in the middle of battle and an orc comes up and, like, challenges you, like one that you had fought before. They don't let you skip that dialogue. Like, you can't just read it and then go on. You have to sit there and let them do the entire conversation. Even if you're in the middle of like a heated battle or a stealth mission, a random orc will just come up to you and initiate, and I hated that.
It was even worse when you accidentally got like 3 or 4 of them at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. They all just take turns introducing themselves.
Yep.
And
that
then,
was
and then
super annoying.
And you're playing as most boring dude in video games, Italian. He's got no personality.
It's true. It's true.
Ultra budget Aragorn.
Very, very budget. But Hollow Knight Voidheart Edition, Hollow Knight is a game I need to go back to. That is a ridiculous amount of content in a game for its price at the time. I think that was a $15 game, and it was well over 60 hours.
Well, yeah, it was sub $20.
Yeah.
If you judge your value based on time, this month of PlayStation Plus is going to be hard to beat.
Exactly. Shadow of War, Hollow Knight. I don't know how long Bugsnax is, but yeah.
I'm going to guess 10 hours.
Probably. The Xbox ones, we got Origami Shadow Edition on Xbox One. What is this? Swim Sanity?
Yeah.
On Xbox One? I did not look closely to see what that was. Full Spectrum Warrior, original Xbox.
Underrated gem.
And Lego Indiana Jones from Xbox 360, which is, I know you don't like the Lego game, CB, but I had fun. I had fun with that one.
Oh, I may give it a second look.
There you go.
Because achievements.
Yeah, those are supposedly easy achievement points. Just take some hours, but like I said, light on the news this week, but I do want to take a chance to remind everybody that we are an independently funded podcast, which means that we do pay for our podcast hosting services, website, everything all on our own, which is why we have a Patreon page where fans can contribute monthly to help offset those costs of production as well as give back to the community. If you'd like to help us out, you can do so at patreon.com/thegocast. Patreon at the $3 level gets some bonus content. You can get 1 free episode there, or at the $5 tier, you get 2 episodes. And CB, what is available for folks to listen to right now?
Most recently, our spoiler cast on Star Wars Squadrons with Scott, myself, and Mr. Kevin Honigford. Upcoming, we have a Break the Seal on Dante's Inferno, one of my favorite games from the 360 era.
Mm-hmm.
We're also doing a Final Fantasy VI episode. And
Break the Seal for Christina and Zach, who both have never played Final Fantasy VI. That would be a fun
we're working
episode.
on one more because this month was kind of weird. So next month there will be 3 episodes.
Yes, we got Dante's Inferno, Final Fantasy VI, and we need to do a retro outsider episode at some point because we haven't done one of those in a long time. We need to get together to play some classic games. But keep in mind, if you do sign up for Patreon, not only do you get access to these episodes we talk about, but you can actually get access to our entire back library. So if you like this show, want to hear some more content, and help support the show, just throw a couple bucks there, and we will get you access to all of those episodes. Again, the site is patreon.com/thegocast. Let's go ahead and jump now into the games we've actually been playing. Okay, Zach, what's new in the horizon for this week?
Feria is coming to PS4 November 3rd. That is a intense-looking strategy and card game.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like a lot was going on there. Producer Nate Lucas should be stoked that Jurassic World Evolution Complete Edition is coming to Switch November 3rd, so you can build your own Jurassic Park. Be God. Breath Edge seemed like a serious title, but is actually like a wacky space survival game where you use an immortal chicken to solve puzzles. So that looks pretty wacky. YesterMorrow is a game you'll hear about pretty shortly on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC November 5th. Dirt 5 is a racing game, and that's going to PS4, Xbox One, PC November 6th. Speaking of racing games, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered coming to PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC November 6th. And this one is especially for CB. Paw Patrol Mighty Pup Save Adventure Bay. I would assume it's a 3D platformer, but all of the trailers seem to conveniently dodge the gameplay. That's coming to PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC November 6th. And then somehow they're on the 6th Tropico game, and that's coming to Switch November 6th as well. Who's buying all these Tropico games?
That's
Lots
been
of
on
people.
PC for quite a while. Rel reviewed that for us.
No, I understand. There are 6 of these now.
El Presidente.
I believe it's on Xbox One and PS4 as well already.
I believe so. Yes.
Does Giancarlo Esposito play the Presidente?
No, that would be amazing.
Darn.
That'd be amazing. I think I know you're going to talk about it soon, but I think YesterMorrow looks really charming out of this group. I don't know if I will pick it up because I got plenty to play as it is, but that one, it looks the most interesting. Although, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, I haven't played in a while. It seems like a weird game to get a remaster, but...
And also like, weird timing, like why? It's not like an anniversary. Yeah. It's not like it's a package that includes the original Hot Pursuits. It's just weird.
It is weird.
I just noticed something about this list. You didn't include anything from Stadia.
Oh, yeah, that's a first.
Oh, man, I guess the Stadia releases are slowing down.
Yeah.
Alex Hutchinson's going to be so disappointed nobody's streaming.
I believe it or not, I actually looked at the Paw Patrol game because my 3-year-old loves Paw Patrol.
Every time I'm over at your house, he's either watching Paw Patrol or Mickey.
Yeah. Oh, Mickey's done. He is gung-ho Paw Patrol, but more so lately has been Spider-Man.
Oh, really?
Like the 90s cartoon?
He's been bitten by the Spider-Man bug, and he is gung-ho. So,
radioactive Spider-Man.
And I actually didn't realize how bad it was until he was watching Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. He's memorized it.
Yeah.
Whoa, he's 3, isn't he?
Yeah. He was downstairs helping me in my game room yesterday and was actually quoting the movie as it was going on, and I'm like, oh no, I've created a monster.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's like straight up you, man. You have every movie memorized.
Does he also think the third act drags a little bit in that movie?
Probably. So, but the fact that like as soon as like Green Goblin came out, he's like, Green Goblin. I'm like, all right, I'm proud. I'm proud.
I just had the sad realization that a whole generation of kids are going to think that's the version that's Green Goblin.
I know.
Ugh, that's disappointing.
So, but yes, he's definitely getting the original cartoon treatment. Well, for the 90s cartoon treatment.
I love that movie, but I cannot stand what it has done to Spider-Man. Now everybody wants everything Spider-Verse all the time. Let's live action Spider-Verse. Let's make the video game Spider-Verse. Like, shut up.
I also didn't like their version of Kingpin.
No, I did not either.
So
I'm glad there's somebody out there who's not over the moon about this movie. Anyway, I cannot believe we are about to talk about Watch Dogs Legions. CB's been playing the Xbox One version of this game. It feels like they announced this before our podcast started.
Yeah, it's definitely been a hot minute.
And there was no delays. Were there any delays for this?
I think there was like one.
Was there one? Okay. This is one that even a year ago we were like, "There's no way this game is going to happen." In terms of they're just trying to do too much.
Right. Yeah. Because the demo looked insane.
You guys actually got a little hands on before I ever did with E3. I love this game.
Really?
That's
I love
awesome.
This game a lot.
Clint Hocking must be so excited that you love the first game he's put out in 12 years.
Yeah. I played Watch Dogs 1. I enjoyed it. Watch Dogs 2 didn't quite get its hooks into me. Mm-hmm. This game is insane.
You mean in terms of a technical fidelity, or?
No, the fact that every single character that you see, you can play.
Yep. That's
insane.
That it still boggles my mind. The fact that all these individual characters that all have different names, different occupations, different specialties.
Like they have their own little dossier almost. Like
right,
built into them.
Because they did that in the first 2 Watch Dogs, right? Where you could click on any NPC and get a little dossier on them. But now they turn that into an interactive mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And on top of that, for them to join your team, you have to do like a little mission to get them to like, okay, trust us. So the fact that there's like probably 100,000 different characters in this game, and the fact that they have an individual mission for each one.
Yeah.
When you guys told me that we weren't sure if this game would be able to be pulled off, I didn't really understand until now I've played it, and I'm like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of coding in this thing has to be insane.
What's crazy is in the demo that I saw in LA, they showed how like each cutscene is done. They actually make it so that each cutscene has whichever character you're playing with. So they've got tiny little differences based on each of the characters. So not only is it just... Go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off. It's just, not only is it just a different voice actor, but they'll have different lines too.
Yes.
You know, like the elderly woman's got something different to say than the British gangster. It's just, it's unfathomable.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't found the old lady yet.
Oh man, seeing her like hop a curb or hop a rail fence or something like that is pretty great.
But I've been playing this. I have run into some bugs.
Well, it's a Ubisoft game.
Yeah, but for a game this size, I'm not surprised.
Right.
For what's going on under the hood, it's a miracle it runs at all.
Right.
No kidding. So far, the story has been pretty engaging. Big.
Is it
big
independent from the first two? Like, because I haven't played the first two. Am I going to be okay? Safe jumping into it?
Yeah. You can jump right into it. I mean, there's a little bit of background from the hacker group DedSec, which takes place. There's like a little mention of it in 1. It's in 2. In 3, you're basically rebuilding DedSec because something happens, like right in the first mission. So there's a little bit of a time hop, but it's such a, like, the controls are tight. It plays super, super well. It's beautiful to look at. I mean, I've seen some of the insane PC rigs.
Oh my goodness, those blew my mind just watching them on Facebook.
It is almost like playing a movie.
Mm-hmm. How does the gameplay though work though? Is it, because I haven't played the first two much at all. I mean, would you consider it a shooter? Is it a stealth game? Is it?
It's a mix.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of the missions are somewhat stealth based. Like, you need to infiltrate this building and hack this server. So with all these different characters that you have, you can do it different ways. You could get basically a brawler character and run in and kick the crap out of everybody, or you can get a professional hitman and sneak your way in and take people out silently, or you could get a drone expert with hacking and fly or use the spider bot drones or a small flying drone to get in and do it that way. So each mission has different ways that you can complete it based upon which character you're using.
So do you find that because there's so many different ways to tackle it that you just have like this full range of freedom to do whatever you want? Or does it feel like that you have these set ways to complete each mission or get in there?
It just depends on your play style. Like, I'm preferring to play the drone style, where I have 2 really good people on my team that use drones and hacking. So I don't even need to be in the building. I could be across the street with a drone and like sneak in the building that way.
Nice.
But I do have a construction worker that walks around with a gigantic pipe wrench and just brains the crap out of people.
I was going to say, when you said that you chose the drone route, I was like, I know you, and you like to just go in guns or melee blazing. And I thought that would have been your first choice for sure.
But I wanted to try different play styles as I'm going through this. Because some missions, it makes more sense to do a little stealth style.
Right.
But other ones, I'm just like, screw it. Let's just go beat the crap out of these guys and just go to town.
What's with the masks, like on the cover of on the box art? Does it play into the story or at all?
Yes, it does.
Oh, that's cool.
If you actually go into one of the buildings, like a melee style, or you're in like one of the restricted areas, your character puts on a mask so you can't be recognized.
Oh, okay. Like Aiden Pierce, his scarf thing had like a blurring technology thing on it.
So the character I've been using the most, which is the construction worker. You can, as you go through this game, you can get different masks that you can buy in the shops or find like special ones hidden throughout the world. I have a cardboard box with eye holes cut out.
Perfect.
So he just walks in and just like pulls this box over his head.
Is it just really cosmetic, or did each one do anything different?
Some of them have animated pieces. Like I have one that has a rotating glowing crown.
Okay.
I like that they put it on. Like, I don't know. Like, it just feels like you're going into superhero mode.
Yeah. Say you're running down the street and you pull out a gun and you like shoot somebody. But as you pull out the gun, you also pull the mask down.
I don't know. I don't know why that little touch really trips my trigger.
Yeah, and the cosmetics for this game, like, there's so much.
How many times has Aiden Pierce been mentioned?
None.
Darn. I know he's got DLC.
Yes.
Coming.
So far, I haven't come across anything that really mentions him. You have like a little operating base that you work out of, which is an abandoned tube station in London, which is kind of cool because it's got like the anarchist flair to it, where everything's like spray painted. It's cool. Such a beautiful game. The controls feel really, really good. The gunplay it's not terrible, but the melee combat is pretty fun. Lots of parkour.
Yes.
There's lots to do. I know some people have been complaining. There's a mission called 404 that has been crashing Xbox Ones.
Okay, that's funny.
Yeah, I love the irony.
Yeah. I actually made it through it. Didn't have any problems. But I've been reading that it was something like 25% of Xbox One X's have crashed on this mission.
Do you have an X?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I can understand why. Like, there is one section you go through, and there's just so much on the screen that, like, I heard the fans kick on, and I'm like, oh no. So it's such a visually intensive game. There's just so much going on. But it's definitely a lot of fun.
Mom, Christmas coming up.
I love how Zach uses the podcast as his like Christmas list for his parents, because I'm sure your mom is listening to this show.
Yeah, she's a huge gamer.
Yeah,
of course. She probably still thinks I'm playing Zelda on my Game Boy.
Yeah, sounds like my dad. So, Watchdog Legions, recommend? Yes.
If you're a fan of the series, just keep in mind they say it's like 15 to 20 hours playthrough.
Well, that's it. That's actually surprising.
For the main story.
Think about how variable it is, though.
Right, that's true.
Yeah, there's a lot of side missions. I've got close to 15 hours into this, and I'm probably not even halfway through this game.
So on Saturday, when we do our charity stream, should I play Ghost of Tsushima or Watchdog Legions?
Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, Ghost.
All right, I'm gonna have to play my PS4.
You gotta play it, Scott. It came out what feels like a lifetime ago because it's 2020, but came out a few months ago.
Legions is good, but I don't think it's gonna top Ghost for me for this year.
All right,
so I'm just intrigued because I love the first Watch Dogs, and Watch Dogs 2 didn't do it for me, so I'm intrigued.
See, I've heard some people say the opposite, that the first game was kind of a letdown, but they felt redeemed with the second one.
I've got a weird soft spot for Aiden Pierce for some reason.
I liked 1 better than 2.
Okay. He's got a cool name.
I think we're in the minority, though, CB. Enjoying the first game more.
Well, I know a lot of people really got upset with the first game because of the downscaling that happened from the E3 demos.
Do you remember when that game was revealed at E3 and we were like, this is the coolest thing ever?
Yeah, you guys want to hear something really super nerdy about me?
Sure.
Sure.
I know this is a weird podcast to talk about how nerdy I am. But in winter, my winter gear is I have Aiden Pierce's coat, I have his little scarf thing, and I have his ball cap. So I kind of cosplay Aiden Pierce every winter.
Nice.
Because that coat is toasty.
Is it?
Yeah.
And it's got like comfy little finger holes on the one that I bought from the Ubi workshop.
Finger holes?
Like thumb holes? Thumb holes? You never seen thumb holes on a sweater before?
No, I don't know what that means.
Wait, like there'll be a cutout for your thumb.
Oh, in the sleeve? In the
sleeve.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've never had a piece of clothing that had that in there.
No.
I have a few.
Huh.
They're fun.
All right. Watchdog Legions. Zach, you've also been playing a game on Switch called YesterMorrow, which I can't decide if I like that title or not.
it's because I keep waxing and waning. I'm like, is it clever or is it annoying? I can't decide either.
But the game looks charming.
It does. The name makes me think of the comic shop in Rockford, Illinois.
Tomorrow is yesterday.
Yeah,
which doesn't exist anymore, does it?
It's
been Top Cut Comics now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a very clever and cool name, and they switched it to something dumb and generic. Shout out to Top Cut.
I was going to say, we tried to get a sponsorship, but that's not happening anymore.
Hey, they're a great deal for Spider-Man trades. That's where I bought Spider-Man trades growing up.
So what is YesterMorrow?
YesterMorrow. Okay, check it out. Tell me if this sounds familiar. A Japanese village has a young hero who must then travel to 3 elemental dungeons and travel between a dystopic future and the idyllic present to slowly but surely save the world from the coming darkness.
Okay, that sounds an awful lot like Ocarina of Time. Yes,
it is very much like Ocarina of Time. The plot and setup. But it is 2D. It is a 2D... I wouldn't say Metroidvania, but you do get upgrades. But it is it's a platforming, puzzling 2D adventure, man. It kind of gives me Iconoclast vibes.
Oh, okay. I'm listening.
Which is fun because I found an Iconoclast Easter egg, which was exciting.
In this game?
Yeah, in this game.
Was it made by the same company?
No. Aww. That guy doesn't do much besides just get angry on Twitter now.
His name Joaquin
Sandberg, yeah.
Yeah.
But this game is you play Yui, who she's in dystopic future, but she gets sent back to her kinder present body, but she's like an adult in the future, so she's got like an adult mind and a kid's body, which is kind of fun. They play on that a little bit.
Oh, okay.
But it's mostly just like a straightforward, go to the ice dungeon. Like I'm trying to find my way to the desert temple right now, solve a bunch of puzzles. I know I talk on the show how, I want video games to explore verbs that aren't kill. You don't kill your enemies. You don't kill anyone in this game.
Right.
It's super cool. In fact, for the first several hours, you don't even have really a way to defend yourself other than avoiding enemies, which is kind of interesting. She's almost like she doesn't want to hurt nature, kind of.
Like a pacifist?
Yeah, it's just kind of something a little bit different. But then you eventually get a bomb that lets you kind of shoo the darkness away, as it were. But I mean, it's a cool puzzle or platformer. You're doing a lot of jumping around and swinging from ropes and stuff, and it's got some pretty tricky jumps in there.
So it's got a little bit of a challenge to it?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised because when you start it up, it's just bright blue skies, lush greens, a bunch of friendly animals. I mean, one of the collectibles in this game is the pet dogs and cats.
Okay.
There'll be like dogs and cats up out of the way on a hill, and you just have to go up and pet them, and they get a little heart over them, so that way you've collected them.
Do you know there's a whole website, or not website, but Twitter handle dedicated to whether or not you can pet the dog in video games?
In the press release I got for this game, one of the bullet pointed features was pet all the best doggos and kitties.
I want to play this game now.
They know
now, just because of that, see, that's why they put it in the press release.
They know what they're doing. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's just like an interesting. It's like an interesting little conceit, go doing this time travel thing. It's just fun, charming, which is a word I know you used earlier for it. I'm playing it on the Switch, where it can occasionally be a complete disaster, technically. But
why?
So a few of the puzzles have to do with lighting, and you'll eventually get a power up that lets you light torches or hold down the left trigger and kind of light your way through the darkness. Whenever you do that, the game slows to an absolute crawl.
Oh, wow.
On the Switch, which I didn't even know the Switch could do, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I don't think I've played anything where I got any slowdown from a game.
Exactly, right? It threw me off. But because the platforming is so intense, when you're in this area and you've for example, there's this one area where you have to light like 5 different torches to see around. And the game already probably drops 5-10 frames when you light one torch.
Right.
So when you light 5, it is stumbling to operate.
That's a bummer.
But in that area, you have this incredibly difficult jump where you have to like rope swing at the right angle underneath of a crevasse, and then double jump up, and then like wall jump off of it to get to a platform, to then get to a different platform that you'll double jump onto. But trying to do all that when you're operating at 5 or 10 frames a second is not fun.
I bet.
At all. I spent more time on that jump than any other part of the game.
And you said this is a 2D game?
Yes. Isn't that weird?
Is it pixelated 2D or just like really?
It's
vibrant?
pixelated. Yeah, so it's pixel art.
I'm just wondering if it's not like really bad coding that's causing that to happen.
It must be, because there's also sometimes you'll like, cross a threshold into an area, and it'll like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like these giant blue triangles will take up the screen, like this weird artifacting issue. I've never really seen anything like it other than on like a 90s PC.
Huh.
It's very strange. But like, I assume all of this day one patches, because it is not out at the time we're recording. So I assume there will be a day one patch. But just know the giant weird triangle can't see the screen thing is fine because you just walk past it. But it's a slowdown that really sucks. Yeah. Another small niggle just for me is I hate when cutscenes are, so all the story is delivered just via text on screen.
Right.
But maybe a third of the cutscenes, like, they'll move the camera around, and in those ones you can't advance the text at your own pace, and I hate that.
That's like a huge no-no for me nowadays. I can read faster than I can.
Yes, huge pet peeve, because I read faster than the text will ever provide.
Right.
But I mean, that was a lot of negative all come together. I would still recommend the game. I would just see if they patch it first.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I think the almost direct cribbing of the ocarina concept in 2D is a lot of fun. And it's just, there's something so cool about seeing an area completely destroyed, and then you go back in time and all of a sudden it's prim and proper again.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of fun doing that, because some areas you'll be outside of a temple and you need to get in the temple to time travel, right? But then you time travel, and all of a sudden now you need a whole different way back out of the temple. But but you'll still see the passageways in the destroyed future or whatever. So you could, like, they hint towards the other level designs. It's just cool. This is like a nice thing to see.
That's interesting. I like it. So that is YesterMorrow. I think it's on other platforms as well, but you're playing it on Switch. I know it's on PS4 for sure.
PS4, Xbox One, and PC.
Yeah.
Not Stadia yet. Who knows, though?
And, okay, yeah. That sounds like a really cool game.
Yeah, I just wish they could figure out their technical issues. But speaking of a developer known for technical issues, CB, the Dark Pictures anthology Little Hope came into Xbox One. How does this stack up to Man of Medan or Until Dawn?
It's better.
That's an insane thing to say.
Well, to me, it's not better than Until Dawn.
Okay.
But it is better than Man of Medan.
It's one of the gold standards of this weird subgenre.
Yes. You mean the basically better. To me, it falls into the same category as like the Telltale games.
Right. Or the David Cage. These to me always feel like David Cage games with competent dialogue.
Yes. Yes, I will agree with that.
Jason!
Right.
So yeah, Little Hope. It's their next continuation of their Dark Pictures anthologies from Supermassive Games. You take control of 5 characters and Scooby-Doo your way through a town called Little Hope.
Completely independent from Man of Medan, right? Like, no connection at all.
The only connection is the curator.
Is it Peter Stormare again?
It wasn't.
It's the same guy from Man of Medan.
Yeah, Peter Stormare was Until Dawn.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. That was Until Dawn. I'm sorry.
Yeah, some guy I've never seen before was in Man of Medan. Who is there? Is there a unexpected celebrity appearance in this game as well?
Not that I recognized.
Because Sean Ashmore was in the first one, right?
Yes. I believe so. Yes. God, what wasn't Remy Malek in like one of these?
Remy Malek before
Dawn?
he was famous was in Until Dawn.
Yep.
They have budget Rami Malek in this.
Perfect.
Looks very similar, but it's not him. You are going through a town called Little Hope, which something is afoot.
Probably not a lot of hope to be offered there.
No,
just a little.
There's not. It's got. I'm not trying to spoil too much of the story, but basically, Little Hope was a town where some witch trials occurred back in the Puritan era.
All right,
and you are being haunted by them. It's got the same formula. You go through, find some collectibles. There's the pictures that are either the black frame or the white frame pictures, which will give you premonitions of either how to save a character or how the character will die.
Right.
Okay, I remember that in Medan.
Yep. So I believe it was in Until Dawn 2. They had
yes,
the totems.
You're correct.
But man, the story is great, and the twist ending caught me a little by surprise.
Oh, that's cool. I like Medan's twist.
Medan's twist was good. The twist in this, I believe, is better.
Okay.
Does it lead into the next one?
I hope not.
So, well, once the credits roll, they debuted the next one.
Is it sci-fi?
No, it takes place in Afghanistan.
Whoa, that's quite a choice.
It's called House of Ashes.
Nice.
And it has
I'm sure that won't be controversial at all.
Well, it feels very Exorcist.
Oh, okay. I'm intrigued.
It feels very much so. And they did the same thing as in Medan, as one of the black picture frames gives you a premonition of one of the deaths from House of Ashes.
Oh, that's really cool.
So
nice
I'm like,
touch.
Yeah, because it shows one of the characters dying. And I'm like, this, who is this? And then I watched the credits roll and it showed the next one. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I know a little bit about what's happening in the next one already.
That's cool.
But the game is fun. But it does have some trappings, which I absolutely hate in horror games. It relies a little too heavily on jump scares.
Okay. Yeah.
Which gets old because every time something happens, it's just like jump scare. Oh, here comes another jump scare. I'm like, it's played out. Like, I love horror movies that don't rely on the jump scare at all. And this one, like that is my biggest fault with this game is I'm like, it was used way too much.
Yeah, it kind of loses its luster if it happens every 15, 20 minutes or something.
Try every 5.
Really? Okay.
Like there is a section of the game where it's just like jump scare. And I'm like, enough. But overall, the story definitely saves it. Lots and lots of collectibles and a crap load of different endings.
Nice.
I think Man of Medan had like 8. I think this one has like 8 or 10.
That's cool.
Nice.
Because does it have the co-op from?
They brought the movie night thing back. The pass the controller movie night.
But do they have? Because Medan had like a split screen co-op where you'd be playing characters in different scenes, even.
Yes, they tried something a little different with this one. Like, say you're in a section where there's two characters that you're controlling. It's back and forth. There's 3 or 4 times in this game where you're trying to run away from something, and you'll do like a quick time event with one character, and then it switches to the other character, and you do the quick time event with them, and you watch the character run past them, and it flips back to the first character, do another quick time event.
Oh, that's kind of.
And so it's like a succession of like 4 quick time events to get away from one thing.
That's kind of cool. It reminds me of if Indigo Prophecy had a scene where you were running away from the cops as a murderer, but you had to do the quick time events for both the cops and the murderer, and it was super cool.
It's very similar to that.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
But the story in this one definitely carries the game. So it's worth a one-time playthrough. I'm going to play through at least once more just to see if the ending changes at all, because the twist was pretty crazy. So I'm kind of curious to see what would happen. Like if I killed off like all but one of the characters, like how would the twist change?
That sounds, I mean, it sounds cool. My only issue with these games is I kind of wish they would come out faster.
Yes.
You know, like imagine one of these a year on Game Pass around October. Wouldn't that be sick?
It'd be perfect.
Well, I remember when they first announced the Dark Pictures anthology, they were talking about doing 1 to 2 of these a year.
Yes, that was the pitch. That is not the reality.
And the very sad thing is, like, right at the end of the game, like, the curator says his final bit, and before he walks away and the credits roll, he goes, "You'll see me at least one more time." And I'm like, are you guys already abandoning this? Because I know initially they had plans for 5 of these.
Oh, I mean, sales numbers are a real thing, man.
I know. I love this style of game because they're just fun little stories.
Yeah,
to play through. Enough. So,
the Dark Pictures Little Hope. It is Dark Pictures Anthology, right? Because
yes,
right.
Okay, because when I looked it up, I did not see the word anthology. I was making sure I had that correct. So, well, I got some other reviews I want to share with you guys. I sat down with Rel, Chris Owens, and Alyssa to talk about 4 games. We got Ghostrunner, Cobra Kai, The Karate Kid Saga Continues, If Found, and The Signifier. So we're going to let you hear those reviews right now. Well, hello there, Rel. How you doing, sir?
I am full of baby stuff. It's all baby all the time over here.
Yes, I heard about the Terrible 2s a little bit before we started recording, so I do not envy you by any means, for sure. But you're here to talk to us about a game that looks super interesting and was actually highly popular in our writing team. You actually were the first to act on this one. Ghostrunner from One More Level Games just looks incredibly interesting. I don't know. I think the way you described it in our Discord channel was a cross between Mirror's Edge and, oh my goodness, what's the overhead view game? Where the super violent
Hotline Miami?
Hotline Miami. Is that
yes.
You still feel that way after playing it more?
Absolutely. It's if you could distill utter frustration and pure satisfaction into a single game, it would probably be Ghostrunner.
Okay. So from like a Bloodborne level of frustration and satisfaction?
Different.
Okay.
Different. Because like Bloodborne, you have to have a sustained level of mastery over your knowledge of the enemy's movements, your own timing with your weapons and dodges and managing stamina levels and so forth. Ghostrunner is parkour off walls, dash in midair, slice up fools who are in your way, reflect their shots back at them with your sword, a la the Jedi, and then do all that perfectly without getting shot or falling off a ledge, and you can move on. And if you get hit once, you go back to the checkpoint.
So is it like pure memorization then? Like just knowing where you're going to have to deflect and dodge and dip?
Sort of, kind of. Basically, every enemy arena that you go into has a number of different pathways. Like, there's different ways you can tackle each area. Like, you can start wall running along, like, left side, and that takes you along the paths of, whatever number of enemies, and then cover the other side, or go, right side or opposite side, whatever, and kill people in a completely different way. And these arenas are set up such that it's not so much memorizing the one way of doing it as figuring out your route and executing it perfectly.
So it's kind of like a puzzle in that you got to figure out the best course of action to take, but then actually execute it as well.
Yeah, definitely. Because there's different enemy types. There's the regular enemies that just have this slowly charged shot at you, single shot. Other enemies that have like machine gun energy fire at you. Other enemies with like shield barriers, mechs that fire like wide energy waves that you can't really jump or duck over, but they aim so slowly that you can bait them into aiming like up and then you just dash straight down, walk into them, kill them.
Ah, okay. So it's all about figuring out which pattern or which course of attack to take on each enemy type as well.
Yeah,
which is always fun.
you're given various abilities as well. Like the first one you get is like a super dash, essentially, that lets you cut through like up to 3 guys in a row along with their shots. So it doesn't even matter if they're shooting at you. You line them up and then just you essentially just teleport to the other side of them and they're already cut in half.
That sounds super satisfying. You mentioned this game has satisfaction, and that sounds exactly what we're looking for.
I mean, if you can, that's the thing. It's definitely frustrating because one shot, and because it's first person, you don't really have the full peripheral vision to like prevent yourself from getting shot off screen, for instance.
Right.
So there's some frustration there. I had many moments in some levels where I was doing good, and then I'd get shot off screen and have to start all over.
Right. It sounds like a game perfect for VR.
I'm not sure if they have VR. I would want to look at that. Because I didn't play it in VR.
Yeah.
But it's so very satisfying because, you know, you parkour, you wall run, you dash in midair. You can dodge enemy shots. Like your dash, if you hold down the dash button, it slows time and you see the bullets in midair slowly coming towards you, and you can just dash to the side out of the path of the bullet, or like midair dash to the side and then release dash button so that you move forward and just cut that guy in half.
Okay, well, I got a very important question then.
Cool. Yes.
Because if you have that aspect of the game built in where you can slow it on time, I still want to see the whole thing play out Super Meat Boy style. Do you get to see the whole thing in full speed after you finish a run?
Unfortunately not. That would be so cool. And I think, I don't think it was Hotline Miami. It's Katana Zero, I think, that has
Great
that. Where,
game, by the way.
Yes, where you kill everything and then it just gives you a replay of all your cool stuff. No, unfortunately not. Once everything's dead, you just move on. And there's some platforming puzzles in this game as well, where you have to, slide, dash, wall run, grapple, sometimes all at the same time, in order to get to where you need to go. There are boss arenas, essentially. First one took me like 50 tries, and there's a death counter at the end of the level too, so you know how much you died.
Which is always good to see.
Oh yeah, and it's so very good when you know what you're doing and you feel like in the moment. It does have that Bloodborne type of feel where, when you feel like you've got it, it feels really good.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like you really like this game and would recommend it.
I really liked it and also really hated it, if you get my meaning. I would definitely recommend it. Here's the thing, though. I played it on PC, and, actually, something Scott didn't mention. I didn't necessarily get it or ask for it first. I technically asked for it second, but the person who asked for it first couldn't play it on PC, and we got the PC code. So I got it by default.
Yeah.
Default. PC Master I don't
Race.
know. Yes, absolutely. I don't know if I would recommend this to people playing on console. That's
really? Okay.
Because it's so fast, and it's you have to be able to just turn on a dime and look in 3 different directions at once. It's just so fast and requires such high reaction time that I cannot imagine playing this on controller. If I didn't have mouse and keyboard for this, I can only imagine it would be 10 times more frustrating. So if you don't have a gaming computer and you really want to play it, just go for it. I just imagine it would be more frustrating on console.
Gotcha. All right, well, that is Ghostrunner, which you're making me really want to play this game, at least to try it out. I'd probably be terrible at it, but I definitely want to see it. It seems like the energy, it's just very high energy, fast-paced, satisfying when you complete it, and that's very my kind of style.
Oh, yeah. And you can restart the checkpoints immediately. There's no load times. You just start right over like Celeste or Hotline Miami. So, if you die, just try again.
Very cool. Well, Rel, thank you so much for checking that out for us. You're going to have a video review for us here in the near future?
Yes, you can find that on my channel at youtube.com/relplays. That's RELLE plays.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for being here, and you have a good one, all right?
All right, you too.
All right, we've got also with us here Mr. Chris Owens. How's it going, Chris?
What's happening, Scott Clark?
And also Alyssa White. Alyssa, long time no see.
Hi, I know, it's been a little bit.
Yeah, it has been a minute, but I'm so glad you guys both showed up. Let's start with Chris, because I'm very excited to hear about Cobra Kai, the Karate Kid Saga Continues. This comes from developer Game Mill Entertainment and was provided to us by Sandbox Strategies. Chris, first off, have you watched the show? Have you watched Cobra Kai?
Religiously. I binged both seasons that exist so far.
Isn't it good? Isn't it just
It is fantastic. It is. You see something like this, and not to get into like a review on the show side, if you will, but the balance of it between the past and the present and how they kind of balance things out, and now it moves the shifts of focus to the current gen, I guess, Cobra Kaiers and Miyagi-Do fighters, but also the balance is, you always talk about learn balancing in the original movie. They've done that with this show, and the fact that 3 and 4 are coming out, I'm really excited.
Oh, yeah, and that little end, what they did at the end of season 2, which we won't spoil here, but I'm maybe really excited for season 3. So
I out loud screamed at a couple of those scenes. It was insane.
It was cool. It was cool. But anyway, we're here to talk about the game because we're both obviously big fans of the show. So naturally, when we see a show that we really like, we want to play the video game form of it. And this looks like a straight up beat 'em up to me. But I want to hear your thoughts on it. How does it do anything different from a normal beat 'em up, or what's the premise here?
It is a beat 'em up. At first glance, that's what you're going to see when you play. Button mashing, which getting the meat and potatoes right off the bat is a little sluggish, especially after playing Streets of Rage earlier this year, which was very sharp, very clean. This takes that fighting style, like I said, it's a little sluggish on the control side. Graphically, it's got the same live comic action like Streets of Rage had, but it's very fluid, very bright. But the depth of it goes beyond being a beat 'em up, is that you have skill trees for yourself and your other fighters for your dojo. There are, Scott, you love this, about how you're ranked in the level depending on how you fight, if you use health, if you find collectibles, etc. Gives you more coins, gives you better upgrades, etc. So there's some depth and strategy in a beat 'em up that's actually unique for this.
Well, I know you said it plays a little sluggish with the controls. I got that vibe a little bit from the trailer, but I kind of thought it was also more trying to give you the idea of some of those older karate type games where it's not just a straight action, where you're trying to do not even combinations, but it's got like this flow to it where you're not just mashing buttons, but you're actually like trying to plan attacks out and things like that. Does it work like that?
When you try to plan them out, absolutely. But the response I find in this generation is a little bit slower than I like to see. I like the fact that this kind of gives you that necessity to make things fluid, to make things, they just not mash, and you're dead or your opponent's dead. But you're trying to combine punches, combine kicks, combine environmental attacks, which are really nice in the game. Also tagging in your fellow, either Cobra Kai or Miyagi-Do, whichever side that you go on to play. But the fluidity of it, the reaction to it, I just find is just a little bit off. And when you're in the middle of a real massive fight with 5 or 6 players on the screen, that can get frustrating if you're trying to clear everything out all at once.
All right. Well, talk to me about a little bit what you mentioned a second ago about playing both sides. This seems to be a theme in 2020. Lots of games are doing that this year. How does that work story-wise? Do you pick one side and play the entire game and then can do it a second time as the other side, or do you go back and forth? That's
right. And there's a difference of how you fight on either side of it. Like with Cobra Kai, you've got a lot more damage. You take a lot more in the damage side. I've started off as Miyagi-Do, and that's where we're kind of going through here. But I know on the Cobra Kai side, you dish out a lot more damage. On the Miyagi-Do side, you have more rewarding as combo skills go, as far as how that reacts. Fire special attacks on the Cobra side, ice special attacks on the Miyagi side. If you've seen the show, you know why that is. So and it follows 2 different storylines. Now, if you're looking for something that intertwines with the movie or the TV shows, they have the original voice actors. I mean, the original actors doing the voices in the game. It's the original characters, but the intertwinings and the parallels between them, they kind of diverge after that. I mean,
okay, so the story is a little bit different than the show.
The story is extremely different. As a matter of fact, there isn't a ton of story that I've seen so far. And like I said, I'm still hacking away at it because I'm going to do a nice detailed written review once I do, and to kind of move forward with this. It's more of a beat 'em up, learn as you go as you come along, but then if the story plugs into it, it's nothing like that you see in the movies or on the Netflix series, formerly YouTube series.
Gotcha. And do you recommend it for people to check out?
I recommend it if you're going into it with an open mind. If you learn balance, as Mr. Miyagi used to say, that you go in, it is a traditional beat 'em up in some aspects, but there's a lot more to it than that. And come in with a lot of patience. Come in with the fact that it's not going to be quick snap, react, go like a Final Fight, Streets of Rage, things of that nature. And I hate to go back to Streets of Rage, but that was so well done that it's become kind of my benchmark for beat 'em ups later on, that you're not going to get that kind of fluidity and to kind of appreciate the other things that go around it. So it's not going to be for everyone, like we say, but if you can kind of get around that and kind of see how everything intertwines and make it fit for you, you'll be able to do pretty well with it.
Sounds good. Again, that is Cobra Kai, the Karate Kid Saga Continues. I know you're playing it on PS4, but it's also available on Switch and Xbox One, correct?
That's right. Absolutely.
Very cool, man. Well, thanks for talking to us about that. Let's go ahead and move on to Alyssa. She's actually got 2 games that she's been playing for us. We're going to start with a game called If Found. And this isn't a brand new game. I believe this came out back in May of this year.
Yeah, on PC.
On PC, and now it's available on Switch, which is where you played it, correct?
Yes, and I loved playing it on Switch. I'm really glad I got it on that platform.
Okay. This one comes from developer Dreamfeel, and we were provided a copy by 47, so shout out to that PR firm for helping us out. So talk to me about this one, because the trailer did not really help me understand how this game works. It looks like a visual novel with some kind of eraser feature. With I don't know. Tell me what it is.
Okay, so it is a visual novel. You are looking through basically the diary of an Irish young woman named Cassio, short for Cassiopeia. And you go through her diary, you see how she's questioning her self-esteem, her relationships with her friends and her mother, her sexuality. She's just wrestling with so much stuff like a lot of young people do. And the cool thing about it is, to see some of the passages she wrote, you have to erase some of her scribbles, erase lines, and it sometimes feels really hard to erase some of what she's written, because you have to erase it to move on to the next part of her story. And it's just like, you don't want to erase what's on the page, but you have to find out what's going to happen next. And it's not going to be a game for everyone. It is very much a visual novel, but if you like visual novels and you're interested in learning about an Irish young woman, and I highly recommend it, especially on Switch, because you can use your finger to do the erasing. And I don't know why I like that so much, but it was a lot of fun to do that.
Well, there's something about that tactile feeling when you play a game like that. I mean, I think that's why, even like when the DS or the 3DS, when those came out and you could actually touch the screen and do things like that. And there's something satisfying about, even as a teacher, when I get like my dry erase board, my digital dry erase board or whiteboard, erasing sometimes feels good. So you're getting that same kind of tactile feeling in this game, is what you're saying?
Yeah, you totally get that.
Is that really the only mechanic in the game? I mean, you're reading the story, obviously, but like the erasing is all you're doing? Are there dialogue choices, or is it just kind of really just reading the story and erasing from time and time again?
There are no dialogue choices. There are some scenes where she converses with another character, but you really just push the A button to advance. Other than that, you're just erasing, and that's it. You read and erase, and it goes to the next page.
All right, so it's very much an experience type of game. It's not like a deep gameplay kind of situation.
No, definitely not deep gameplay, but it's just, if you want to read a story about an Irish young woman who is trying to figure herself out, this is the game for you. It's not very long. It's about 2 hours, 2.5, depending on how fast you read or how fast you're going through. One cool thing, though, is since it is about an Irish young woman, there is some Irish slang and Irish locations, and the game has a feature where you push the Y button if you want to, and it explains how you pronounce the names of the location or say the slang. It tells you what it means and where it's located. And that's a really cool feature too, just to have that in there.
That is neat. It's like a built-in translator for your experience. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, as a fourth grade teacher, I see those in a lot of the digital books that I provide my students, where they can click on a word and it gives them the definition or the pronunciation. Yeah. So they got that in video game format. That's really cool. So again, that's If Found from developer Dreamfeel. And you're gonna have a written review for us here in the next week or so, right?
Yes, very soon.
Very cool. Looking forward to that. And let's talk about the last game or second game that you played called the Signifier. This one comes from Play Me Studios and was also provided to us by Sandbox Strategies. And I got to tell you, this looked like a great Halloween game to play. Very much, I don't know, walking simulator, murder mystery type situation. What's the story here?
Maniac Mansion. Had to throw it out there. Sorry.
So you play as a man who is hired. He's like super proficient in artificial intelligence, and he's hired to solve the murder of this woman named Joanna Cast. And she was the head of this company called GoAT, and they think that it's not just a regular suicide or death or anything like that. They think she was murdered. So this is a really complicated story. So your character gets a hard drive that he plugs into a computer, and he has built this machine where once he enters the machine, he can then enter that person's dreams or their objective or subjective states. And that's where you hop between realities and find clues about Joanna. And you also get clues about where to go in reality. So you're doing a lot of dream hopping and piecing together clues you find and puzzle solving.
I'm getting an Inception vibe totally from hearing you describe this.
Me too, absolutely.
Yeah, it is very trippy, and it's really hard to accurately describe it just if you're not just super proficient in what they're talking about, which I'm not. But it's just once you experience it, you kind of get it more than hearing someone talk about it.
Yeah, I would recommend everybody check out the trailer for this. It is in the show notes for this episode. It is a visually striking game for what I would consider to be a smaller studio. It looks really good, and the voice work sounds pretty solid. It has a creepy atmosphere. The trailer had like a woman in the background saying like a percentage of a dream that was uploaded or something. It kept saying 18%.
Yeah, that's the AI he built, Evie.
Mm-hmm. It just has a deliciously creepy vibe to it, is the best way I can describe it.
It definitely has some horror elements and sci-fi, strong sci-fi, a little bit of horror mixed in. I really enjoyed it. I even like the puzzles because they're not your typical kind of puzzle. You really have to think about what's going on. But once you solve it, it's so rewarding, and you get to move on to the next segment, and you get more clues about how Joanna actually died. So I really like the puzzles in this as well.
That sounds really good. Again, that's called the Signifier. Do you recommend it for people to check out?
I do, if you really want to dive into a murder mystery walking simulator game that has some pretty brainy puzzles and some concepts that you have to really wrap your mind around.
Sounds good. And your written review is actually already on the site, so if people want to dive into more on that, be sure to head over to thegamingoutsider.com to read Alyssa's review on the Signifier. Well, that's going to do it, guys. Thank you so much, Chris and Alyssa, for stopping by to talk about your respective games. It's great to talk to both of you, and really appreciate it.
Great to talk to both of you guys. Alyssa, it's been a long time with you, Alyssa. I missed you, and glad the three of us could come together.
I missed you, too. I'm so happy to talk to all of you.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. You have a good one.
You too.
You too.
All right. Anything else you guys been catching up on?
Just really quick, started playing through Jackbox 7.
Oh, did you?
Yep. It's not bad.
Did any of you like any standouts?
Quiplash is always fun. And then there was I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but I know you said it was kind of fun. Basically, like you get a word. It's like charades, but it's very hard. Like
where like they give you selections of things you have to
Yes.
choose between which one. Yeah, that game is super fun, and
It's
the
super
PowerPoint
fun.
presentation one is great too.
The problem with charades though is if you're playing with a bunch of people that have a dirty mind, that game is hard to get through. I've been playing through that, and then a little game called Ministry of Broadcast. Ministry of Broadcast. Switch title, basically a pixelated 2D side-scrolling Running Man.
Man.
The movie.
Like the movie?
Running Man.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
it's supposed to be like that. I just started it. So far, it's actually kind of caught my attention. I'm having fun with it. So
I love the
cool.
title. Title's great.
Yeah. Depending on how well it goes, I may talk a little bit more about it next week because it came out this year. So
Cool. I also played the demo for Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, which we had talked about a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you guys were at all interested in that game. I assume CB you're not.
You keep saying like every time a Zelda game comes up, you're like, CB's not interested.
Not because it's Zelda, but because it's this is like the least Zelda game there is. Like,
well, I have one question about it. Is it better than the last Hyrule Warriors?
It's the same stuff. Here's the thing: if you've ever played a Warriors game, it's a lot of running around, hacking and slashing, and they've actually done a good job of mixing that up a little bit. You've got some enemies that come at you, and you have to figure out the kind of attack that they do. You have to counter it with a specific type of attack or equipment that is very reminiscent of. My goodness, I cannot think of the Breath of the Wild. You know, like you remember, like the thing that would create a block is one of them. The magnet thing is one thing. The bombs, they work almost identical to the way they did in Breath of the Wild, which is kind of cool. So you're seeing that. You're seeing a lot of the same sound effects. You're seeing a lot of the same enemies. So it feels very familiar, but the gameplay is just completely different. You've got the Warriors mentality. It's just a lot of hack and slash. I got to play as Impa. I got to play as Zelda. Every time I played one of them, I just wished I were playing as Link instead. But that's because I've been a massive Zelda fan and played only as Link for as long as I can remember. And he looks cool in this game. He's like in knight armor. I don't know. He just looks a lot cooler. He's not wearing a tunic. You know what I mean? He looks like a warrior, which is really cool. Because in the last Warrior game, he just wore his green tunic all the time. So that's
right.
That's
well, I
pretty
think
cool.
that's the Breath of the Wild style of Link.
Is it?
Well, because you can equip whatever you want, I guess. But in the flashbacks and stuff, it always kind of look like a knight.
It's true.
I only want to play it because of the story. I love Breath of the Wild so much that I want to see more of the world.
Well, it is cool. Like we talked about when this trailer first dropped. It takes place prior to all of that, so you're actually seeing, the rise of Calamity Ganon before the events of Breath of the Wild. And they do this cute little story where there's because the Guardians are just like en masse. If you remember from the trailer, there's just like tons of them everywhere. And there is a tiny little Guardian, like a little cute little small tiny version of a Guardian that somehow during the Age of Calamity is transported back in time to even further back, leading up to those events, and he becomes your companion as you're running around. And you don't really know why he's there, but it's kind of fun to see. He's just a cute little Guardian, and the big Guardians are always after him, fighting him. That's kind of cool. I don't know. It's a game that I appreciate, but I feel like I would appreciate it for an hour or two and then just be done with it.
Yeah, it's a game I want to buy on a severe discount just so you can see the story. Right.
And even the story there's a lot more voice acting than there was in Breath of the Wild, which is a massive game, obviously. But yeah, it's more about seeing just the imagery and learning about the history of the Calamity than anything. But it's a pretty chunky demo. It's not like a 10-minute demo. I played through at least 2 or 3 missions, and it just kept going. The thing that scares me about a game like this is I can't decide if I want it to be super simplistic or if I want some more complexity to it, because I just want to go out in the battle and do this. But then they do things like, you're collecting things along the way, and then you're going to be cooking food items, which I don't have any interest in doing. I didn't really have any interest in doing it in Breath of the Wild.
Oh, man, I cook so much.
Did you?
Yeah.
It just doesn't do anything for me. I don't know. And then you have an overworld map where you can actually choose which mission you want to go to next, or if you want to go unlock a blacksmith to upgrade weapons and spend your rupees and spend your other collectibles that you've picked up. So you kind of have some freedom of movement there. I'm with you. I'm more interested just to see what they're going to do with this time period, because it's one of the more interesting universes of the Zelda universe that just to see where where do these Guardians come from? Why are they there?
The sheer size of the Breath of the Wild world, meant that they had to fill in more story details than normal.
Yeah,
it's just kind of a rich setting.
And it always makes me wonder if there's going to be any lead into Breath of the Wild 2 a little bit too. Like there's got to be some connection, right?
Maybe that little Guardian will kick things off for Breath of the Wild 2.
That's what I'm saying. If he's got time travel, just saying.
That'd be cool.
Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity. I'm inevitably going to purchase it for the collection, if nothing more. But I don't know if I will play.
You'll purchase it twice.
Maybe.
Oh no! He'll probably purchase it 3 times if there's a collector's edition.
Right, because you got to have it unsealed, and you got to have the version to play. You got to have the version.
And then he's got to have the big box version.
Got to have the collector's edition. I understand, Scott.
Yeah, so, I got to get my Breath of the Wild. I got to get my copy of Breath of the Wild graded. I think I've decided it needs to happen.
The Master Edition one.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
It's in really good shape.
For a while. I'm gonna laugh if they release a Switch version.
A Switch version,
like a Switch of like Hyrule Warriors.
That's what this is on.
No, he's saying a new console.
Like a console that's like got Hyrule.
Oh, screw that! I'm done buying consoles branded with Zelda. Please don't.
You say that, but I know you'll buy it.
Yeah, you're absolutely full. You've come this far. You got to keep it going.
I know, but man, I've got 2 consoles that I've pre-ordered that I still haven't decided if I'm going to keep because that's $1,000.
Well, you're going to keep the Xbox.
I haven't bought a new game for my NES collection in probably 9 months at this point.
But the last one was Dragon Fighter or Cowboy Kid?
I think it was Cowboy Kid, actually, yeah. So I got a ways to go on that. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on. I want to say hello to one new Facebook member, Chris Otto, over at facebook.com/groups/thegocast. We got a great community over there. We try to keep it updated with the news and anything else going on, funny game-related memes and whatnot. It's a lot of fun there. Also, we've got a new member over on Discord. I don't know if I should say this or not. I'm gonna say it's Sandy Gina, but I don't believe that's actually what the name is pronounced. It's spelled Gina, but I think they're going for a different meaning there.
My name's Alyssa for China.
Yes. There is a link to our Discord in the show notes if you'd like to join the community over there and join in on one of our community game nights, which was a lot of fun last time. No new reviews this week, but if you get a chance, hop over to Apple Podcasts, drop us a review, let us know what you think of the show, and also check out our website, thegamingoutsider.com, where you'll find all of our content, including our written reviews, like Alyssa's review of the Signifier, which is up and published, and we should have quite a few more reviews publishing this week as well. Let's go ahead now and jump into our From the Outside In topic. It is the first of the month, which means it's time again for questions from you, the Gaming Outsider community. As we do every month, we've posted on social media asking all of you for questions and discussion topics for the segment. So we're going to go through each one of those now, starting with Facebook. Our first question comes from Sam Will Frederick, who says, botched sequels and third entries to great previous games would be fun to listen to. Example, Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Microsoft obtains Rare, Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. I cannot relate to those games because I have never played a Banjo-Kazooie game.
That's a shame.
But is the third one not good?
Banjo-Kazooie over Super Mario 64. Thank you.
Really?
It is pretty good, man.
Oh, man. I have to go get that Rare replay and play that again.
Oh, yeah. That's got to be the best deal in gaming history, right?
It was $20 at launch.
For 30 Rare games?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 30. I think it was $30, 30 Rare games, 30 years.
Yeah, was it? That would
I'm pretty sure, but it's still an insane deal.
But they did the thing where it's like Battletoads and then Battletoads the arcade game,
right? But they also did like Perfect Dark and Perfect Dark Zero.
Oh, at least one of those was good.
Sure.
I don't remember either being great, to be honest with you.
Perfect Dark was pretty good.
Yeah, that was kind of like the hipster's choice for best FPS on N64 back in the day.
Yeah,
it was like GoldenEye is great, but Perfect Dark is better. Yeah.
Do you guys have any?
I got
third entries to a series. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I got a handful.
Botched sequels. Tony Hawk 5.
All right,
sure.
That
garbage.
Well, he said third entries. I don't know.
botched sequels and third entries.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Turok 2008.
No way, that game's good.
I was going to say, I remember that game being good.
It strayed so far from the source material.
Yes, I agree, which is okay because they really Christian Nolanized Turok in that game.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
They took a time traveling, universe protecting Native American guy and just made him a dude in space with a gun. So I get what you're saying, but that game was awesome, and it had Timothy Olyphant, who is the internet's new boyfriend.
Yeah,
yeah, he is.
And then I actually thought of one for Zach, Tomb Raider: Angel of Darkness.
So I actually like that game. So
that game is awful. Shut up.
Is incredible as long as you know what you're getting into. There are funny things that'll happen where like you'll end a level and all of a sudden it's like 4 days later and Lara's got a completely different outfit, but they don't explain it at all. But the actual once you get to the tombs, that is a great game.
That is a white hot dumpster fire.
I love Angel of Darkness. If you wanted to say Chronicles, I'd be with you. That game sucks.
That game is pretty bad too.
That game is wretched.
What do you got?
Oh, well, I think EA is king of the terrible threes. Mass Effect 3, Dragon Age 3, and Dead Space 3.
Dead Space 3 was going to be mine.
In terms of disappointing, again, we've talked about it before. The first third of Dead Space 3 is awesome, but then it goes into a love triangle soap opera nonsense, which is pretty weird for a horror game. And then when you finally figure out what the Necromorphs are up to, that's pretty disappointing as well.
Yes.
Mass Effect 3, I don't think ever had a hope in hell of delivering on the promises it made, but the last minute inclusion of magic into Mass Effect forever taints the franchise. And I know a lot of people love Dragon Age Inquisition, but for me, it strayed too far from the things I loved about Dragon Age. I know it won all those Game of the Year awards and stuff, but I remember I got like halfway through Dragon Age Inquisition, and I was like, I am only playing this so I know the canon for the next one, because that game often bored me to tears. So I think EA is not great on threes.
Good call.
Yeah.
Dead Space 3 was on my list. I will also say Star Fox Adventures.
Dinosaur Planet? What an incredible game.
Oh, God.
I would really like you to go back and play that game and tell me that game is still great.
I would not. I will have to let it live in my memory.
Boy, that Dead Space 3 was my big one, because you hear us talk all the time about how much we love that series, that game, and I just did not. Here's the thing: I didn't hate it. It was just it came off of Dead Space 2, which was a masterpiece.
Which in line with that, like Arkham Knight for me is like a game that is fine, but coming off of Arkham City and Arkham Asylum, or even Arkham Origins, I was just so disappointed with Arkham Knight. Much like Dead Space 3, it's got parts that are great, but then also parts that just drag it down so completely that it's hard to think of it fondly.
Plus, Dead Space 3 did that deal where like you got cold and you had to stay near a heat source.
Right, and you hate time limits.
I hate time limits. It's just like, why would you take a good thing and add the one element I can't stand in games? Drove me crazy.
But they did add cover-based shooting, which is what everyone was clamoring for in Dead Space 1 and 2.
I don't know, man. I was turned off as soon as I started fighting other humans. Yeah, I was like, I don't want to fight other humans.
That was my joke.
Oh, I thought you were being serious.
Nobody wanted cover-based human-on-human combat in Dead Space.
Yeah, okay. I didn't realize you were being facetious.
And they also, like, the enemies didn't exactly have robust AI. They just stood there while you shot them with engineering equipment.
Right.
Which is also not as cool when it's human enemies.
Right.
Using engineering equipment on zombies, you're like, oh, that's crafty. What do you do like on a guy? You're like, just shoot him, man.
Right.
You don't need to cut off that dude's arm.
It's not going to help. All right, Peter Haynes asks, what do you think the theme of next gen will be? This gen has arguably been the generation of the remake or remaster, but also started with some innovative ideas in the Kinect and making VR gaming more mainstream. What do you predict we'll see in the next gen consoles, games, and accessories? What's the theme going to be?
I want to see more VR. I'm really hoping they continue with it.
Well, I mean, do you think that'll be the theme, or is that what you hope?
The problem is, like, it's so early. Like, with the way VR has been accelerating, I'm really thinking that there's going to be a heavier push into that, or possibly AR. But outside of games like Mario Kart Live Circuit and a few other ones, like AR to me already seems like it's gone the way of the dinosaur.
It's getting there. Although we never did see any of the cool games with like Google Glass or whatever that we were supposed to get. Remember those?
Yep.
Where you had like the little guy that would run around on your couch and all the environments in your home.
Right. Which cool it was like the holodeck. See, I understand the reference now.
Yeah.
Just want to slide that in there real quick.
But I think VR is going to be a lot more heavy featured in this upcoming generation. Just because with how popular the Quest and the Quest 2 are becoming.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, their PR keeps doing some serious damage.
Yeah. I would like to see more of that, or if we are going to start shifting into the AR realm, haptic gloves. I would love to finally see that happen. Instead of like an actual controller, like gloves.
So again, are you speaking realistically or what you would really like to see?
At this point in time, what do you think the next big leap is going to be?
I think we're already there. I think we're already seeing the cusp of it, and you guys hate to hear it, but the digital future, games as a service, streaming.
Funny you say, I think we're going to see the death of games as a service.
You think so?
I think the amount of them is unsustainable.
Okay,
I actually think we're going to see the return of the single player game in a big way.
I hope so.
Thank God.
I really do. Because first of all, we all know the gaming industry runs on cycles.
Mm-hmm.
So the cycle is due for the return of single player. Because you think about Xbox and you think about Xbox especially, but also PS2, how excited they were about multiplayer online. And then PS3 and 360, all the breakout games for single player. I mean, yeah, you had Gears of War and stuff, but Assassin's Creed, Uncharted, Last of Us, Infamous, those are all single player games. Then you get to PS4 and it's all about like Minecraft playing online or Fortnite. I just think we're about time circle back.
I could agree with that.
I could hope for that, but I don't think it'll happen.
Really well with VR and things like that.
Yeah, look, I hope it is. I really think like the theme for the first 2 years is they're going to be selling you on features that don't actually really matter. Like check out these load times, ray tracing, 8K, 4K, HDR, all these buzzwords because as we've seen
processing.
As we've seen in our polls and online and stuff, people are not excited about this generation the way they have been before. So I think they're going to shove those things down your throat because they really want you to think you need the upgrade.
Right.
Well,
that makes sense.
That's part of the reason why I went with my answer, because I feel that it's the next big leap in technology. And if you want people to get excited, that's how I do it.
Maybe like remote play, xCloud, that might be a huge theme this generation.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I meant by streaming. Yeah. But I don't know. I think if you want to get somebody excited about your console, give them a game that they can only play on that console.
Oh, it's going to be a while for that.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
wait, no, Destruction All-Stars. I forget. I'm so sorry. I apologize.
Right.
Bugsnax.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. Those are the only two, right? When we did the list.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Well, Bugsnax is also on PC, isn't it? So it's just Destruction All Stars is the only exclusively next gen console game.
Demon Souls
is a PS3 game,
right? But the remaster is exclusive to PS5,
right? But if you want to, but it is a shot for shot remaster. So if you're talking in games that are exclusively PS5 content, right, it is only Destruction All Stars.
It's insane. It's just crazy. Okay, next question comes from Stefan Rombing, who says, what game did you anticipate the most and turned out to be the worst game you've ever played? I think you guys know my answer for this one.
Well, why don't you kick it off then?
Journey.
Oh, that was not my guess.
I was so stoked for Journey. I talked about this mostly with the last year, probably. That's why it wasn't on the tip of your tongue, but I was so stoked. I remember specifically listening to Garnet Lee talk about playing Journey on One Up Yours. I think it was One Up Yours or Weekend Confirmed. And I was like, I have to play this game. It just sounds so fascinating. And it was the biggest waste of 2 to 3 hours of my life I've ever played. I sat there and watched it, and I understand what they were going for with this whole ending thing, but I was so bored and just it did nothing for me. And I felt so in the minority because everyone was just raving about this game. I feel like I should go back and replay that game just to see if I still feel the same way. Like, go into it with an open mind.
Yeah.
But that was the first one that came to my mind. What about you guys?
I don't know, man. This is the jump to worst game is insane. I feel like the biggest drop I've had in terms of excitement to reality was probably Dead Island.
Oh man, I wanted to like that game so much
because
that trailer was so good.
The award-winning trailer, GameTrailers.com listed as the #1 game trailer ever, and it really painted a picture of a game that absolutely was not representative of the product whatsoever.
Not even a little bit.
Not even mildly. Like this trailer is so somber and serious and depressing, and the game is like over the top nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
That severely disappointed me, and like made me like I felt like I was lied to. Like I felt angry.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's what comes to mind.
Man, I guess I dodged that bullet because I never saw the trailer for it, and I loved that game.
Well, you have
I
to
wonder if that's it.
Well, maybe, but it's also just not my kind of game, right? Like the like minor upgrades kind of thing, and it was very much like Borderlands, but with zombies.
Yeah,
and nothing but melee attacks.
Right, nothing but melee
with degradable weapons.
And but like in that same dumb style of humor that Borderlands 2 had.
I can see that.
Which is, you're right. The trailer probably messed that up. It's just the only other game I could think of might be Dragon Age Inquisition because I was so over the moon about that game, and it's kind of like tempered my love of the franchise in general.
CB, do you have one?
Oh yeah, I got.
This is a question tailor made for CB.
Okay.
No Man's Sky.
All right. Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Because I was all over the hype train on that one. And
another instance of being lied to.
Yes. Because I was like, I love those style of games. I was already playing Elite Dangerous, and they're like, No Man's Sky, it's going to be better. And womp.
Remember they got on national television and lied to all of the consumers, but then were forgiven 3 years later?
Yep. Duke Nukem Forever.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, that's a good answer, man. Wow.
Yeah, because I was one of the kids that pre-ordered it when it was first announced.
Well, of course, you had balls of steel.
Yep.
The opening scene, he's smearing poop all over the bathroom wall.
Did not get a
you're
good
in
picture.
for a treat. Yeah.
And then, like, very distasteful jokes about forced sexual encounters.
Mm-hmm.
Just not a great game.
No.
Mighty
Felt
Number 9.
uncomfortable playing it. Mighty Number 9 is a good call.
Man, he's got a good memory for disappointing games.
Yeah.
And then the last one, which was most recent for me, was Jump Force.
Oh, the fighting game?
the like shonen manga crossover game, right?
Yeah, because I read a lot of those. I loved a lot of those properties, and I'm like, oh, finally they're gonna merge them all together in one game. And yeah,
that's so lame. I think they're still adding characters to it too.
They are, but to me, it just left such a bad taste in my mouth that I shelved that game and I haven't touched it since.
That's just because they went like to the 90s. They tried all Yu Yu Hakusho for that thing. Like they really went deep. That's so disappointing.
Yeah. Yu Yu Hakusho, DBZ. There was some Bleach stuff, One Piece, and it was just such a disappointment in the way that it was drawn and how it played. I was severely disappointed in that one.
Oh man, I thought of another one for me, Sonic 06.
Oh,
I was
God.
wondering why you didn't mention Sonic.
Yeah, because I always try to argue that they've never made a bad Sonic game, but that's a lie because they made Sonic 06. I do think most Sonic games are good, and I'm just a complete sucker. I'll admit that freely. Never trust my opinion on Sonic, listeners. But Sonic 06 sucked, and it was coming off hot off of Sonic Heroes, which I loved, and I even like Shadow the Hedgehog, which I know gets a bad rap. But Sonic 06 was at times absolutely unplayable.
Wow.
But I did beat it because, gosh darn it was Sonic the Hedgehog. And I'm kidding. You can trust my opinion on Sonic. Just know it's coming from my place. That's all.
Okay. Next question comes from Tori Melching, who says, "Who's going to win the first full year of sales for the next game system? Mid-November to mid-November. Mid-November to mid-November.
Yeah, so
it comes out in November.
Right, November 2020 to November 2021.
Okay, got it.
Tori's not trying to trick you, man.
I just was confused. PS5 or Xbox Series X? What do you think?
I say this not trying to pick a side, but I really think the Xbox is going to. We were talking about it before the show with Nate, our producer, that with all the moves they're making and Game Pass alone, like, they're doing the right things.
Yes, and I think for those first 3 or 4 months, PS5 is gonna kind of almost knock Xbox out of the water. But once word gets out that you can get an Xbox for $35 or $25 a month, that's gonna move units in a big bad way. Especially when you look at the upcoming PS5 games or even Horizon, that's still coming to PS4. You don't super have incentive to buy either one of these consoles. But if you want one just to get in the next gen ring, it's hard to say no to $35 or $25 a month, And if you're just a casual gamer who plays Madden maybe every year or Call of Duty, you're not super into it. You're not excited to drop $600 on a new piece of hardware, $500, sorry. But you're not going to care about the $35 a month.
Especially, doesn't that include EA now?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Includes EA Access. Yeah, I didn't even think about that when I was talking about that. But that's even sweetens the pot.
It includes EA and it includes Game Pass Ultimate.
Right. And
Skyrim.
All these Bethesda games, absolutely.
Not Skyrim, but whatever 6 is going to be called. Do we even know? Did they give it a subtitle?
Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield.
Yeah, that's
right.
insane.
I'm excited about Starfield.
Which whatever that game is. But
they have a new engine for Starfield. That's exciting.
Yeah, but the fact that Starfield for Xbox players is going to be free day one,
including your subscription. But yeah.
But if you're paying the $35 a month, that's included.
Right. Yeah, that's
no additional dollars.
If as the GameStop or Best Buy employee will sell it to you, they will say you're getting these games essentially for free. Right.
Essentially being the keyword.
Right, but they're going to say that they're going to do CB's method of check out, Bethesda, you like that Skyrim game that everybody has played? It comes with your Xbox.
Right.
That's a pretty good sales pitch. Or if you
want
want to
say no,
you can buy a PS5 for $500 and then you can pay $70 for Starfield. Your choice.
Right.
Or for $35 today, I can get you an Xbox Series X.
Look at you, man. Like a salesman.
It's just it's hard, right? Because PlayStation was so dominant this past generation.
Yes.
That it's easy to count Xbox out, but that you have to think about, that is such an easy pitch. Do you want to spend $700 a day or do you want to spend $35?
Plus,
especially for parents.
Yeah. Great point.
At holidays, you can get a new console for a kid for just a monthly payment.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Plus, we don't even know what else Xbox is cooking up right now. They could have another megaton thing up their sleeve right now that we have yet to learn about.
Megaton. Let's see what we did there.
Yeah, you see? You like that? So Zach actually beat me to it. I think that Sony is going to outsell like crazy out the gate. Even it'll be closer here in the States than it will be like overseas. I still feel like it's very equal here in the States, or a lot more equal than social media would lead you to believe. But Sony's going to dominate in 2020, and then 2021, when people start realizing the economic value of switching, it's going to make a huge difference.
Because that's what the casual gamer does not know yet about the 35. They don't know about getting Xbox for so cheap.
Yeah, we've known for a while. They will figure it out. Yep. All right, Sean Coates, are there any gaming-related YouTube channels you closely follow and watch frequently? I have several, but it would be a long list if I were to name them here. CB, you and I watched one together in your basement a little while ago when we were cleaning up consoles. Do you remember? I think Sean actually recommended it to us.
God, I'm trying to think of which one it was.
It was the Gaming Historian.
Yes.
And Zach, have you watched that?
I have, yeah.
That is really well done. Very well versed, very well spoken, and highly researched.
Yeah,
there's a lot of information.
Well produced documentaries.
Mm-hmm. I would. That's the only real one that comes to mind in terms of gaming related channels. I don't watch a lot of YouTube. There's something in my brain that can't sit down and just watch YouTube like I watch television. I don't know why. It's a weird thing in my brain that just doesn't think of YouTube. YouTube is something that I watch on my phone while I'm waiting in line or I'm riding in the car. You know what I mean? Like it's just something like a quick fix type of thing.
I think they call that being an old man.
Being an old man watching
Yes.
YouTube? Oh, are you saying because I don't think of it as watching television?
You're not engaging it with it like you would other televised media.
Maybe that's what it is. But I stream everything else: Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO, everything. I stream. Why do I have a weird? I have watched a couple movies on YouTube. Like once in a while, I'll find a movie that I cannot find on any streaming service, but I have a hankering to watch it, so I'll find it on YouTube and watch it there if it's available.
Free with ads.
Sometimes, yeah. There's like, or it'll be split up into like 7 or 8 different pieces, and you have to wait for it to flip over, like an old 8-track player. You gotta wait for a second for it to flip over. That's showing my age right there. How about that?
Yeah.
Hey, kids, there were these things called 8-tracks.
Check out these Laserdisc things. They're gonna blow you away.
Remember how
I love my Laserdisc player.
What did we watch on Laserdisc at your house? Was it Top Gun?
No, didn't we watch Stay Tuned?
I've never seen Stay Tuned, so no.
Oh, that movie's great, man.
I watched a lot of Star Wars on Laserdisc as a kid because my mom dated a guy who thought he bought it on Laserdisc on the ground floor. He thought it was going to take off. But, he didn't start dating him until DVDs were out, but he would still argue, like, DVDs, they're going to die off when people learn about Laserdisc.
Why would anybody think that? Like, who wants to put it on a disc that big?
Because the quality is so superior. Was his argument?
I don't know. I don't know the quality. I've never seen it.
The quality is actually really good on a Laserdisc.
Yeah, it's way better than DVD.
Yeah, it actually is better than DVD. So good, in fact, that even Back to the Future 2 had Laserdiscs as the way to go.
Huh.
Yeah, Laserdisc is ahead of its time. It's just also the size of your apartment.
Yeah, it's huge and it takes up a lot of room. As far as me, AVGN, I've been a fan of for a long time.
Angry Video Game Nerd for the layman.
Yep. Spawnwave, I love watching his basically breakdowns of systems. Like he'll actually take old systems apart and like, oh yeah, this is what this is. This is what this is. Probably one of the few people I watched that took apart a Panasonic Q, which was sad to watch. Gaming Historian. I used to be a big fan of Metal Jesus until I found out that he was basically a giant turd.
Oh no!
Oh yeah! I hate him anymore.
Wow.
I won't support his stuff just because of how his Patreon stuff is done. Like, oh, pay extra money so you can get access to my videos super early, where I tell you about hidden gems, so you can buy them up and then resell them. Like,
he's basically using his platform as a way to affect the market?
Yep.
Huh.
So that and the big fallout with some of his other people, like John Hancock, who had a giant crowdfunding thing to raise a bunch of money to start a video game museum, and just kept all the money.
Oh.
And bought more games. And has yet to talk about when this video game museum is going to come. So, yeah, I completely stopped supporting him in any way, shape, or form.
Isn't it weird when people do like those Kickstarters and take all the money and run, but are still somehow gainfully employed?
Yeah.
Like Zoe Quinn did that as well. She did a huge Kickstarter and
We started on that.
no repercussions. Not the podcast for that, I guess.
Yeah, no.
Nope.
Zach, any for you?
Well, contrary to Scott, I watch a lot of YouTube. I do watch more YouTube than television, proper television. It's probably why I'm so slow moving on TV shows compared to other people. But I'll give a few shout outs. There's a smaller channel called Game Brain. This guy does hyper specific videos. Like he did a whole 25-minute video on all gillied up on Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
All right, yeah.
But he tracks down like the level designer of it and interviews them like 10 years after the fact. He's really dedicated to it. Or he'll do like an interview about the lightsaber combat at Jedi Academy by finding the combat animator, you know? It's just interviews with developers you would never ever expect. Which is super cool.
Add that one to my list.
Yeah, a channel called Mini Me who does reviews of like Game Boy ports of games, like Driver 2, but the Game Boy version.
Okay, yeah.
And it's fascinating because Driver 2 on the Game Boy was an open world game. Or there was like I think it's the Simpsons Hit and Run. They actually did a 3D open world on Game Boy Advance by just using Mode 7 tricks.
Huh.
Which is wild. It's just fun to learn about. Shout out to my Twitter friend Diego Rivera. He does good comic book video games coverage.
Nice.
Let's see. The Game Show is a UK operation. They review a lot of like old Star Wars Expanded Universe games. So that's a lot of fun to learn stuff there. Turbo Button's another good one. Joseph Anderson's a huge name on video game YouTube. He puts out these ludicrous 5 to 6 hour breakdown reviews of games. Like he just
5 to 6 hours.
He put out a 5.5 hour video on The Witcher 2, and I watched every minute of it.
Wow.
And it's top notch stuff. Of course,
and we're not talking just like gameplay, just like streaming or whatever. It's actual breakdown review.
Right, like the first Witcher one, for instance, he did, every playthrough, every decision, like trying to track all the variables and how they affect things. It's he's very dedicated to the craft.
Nice.
It's pretty wild. Chris Baker, who we joke around on the show because I'm a big fan of his. He does another video game YouTube channel. He's a lot of fun. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people on YouTube. Those are a handful of them. But people are doing good stuff out there, man. You just gotta find it. I really like it. Like this guy Racevic. He also does like weird games. He'll Alpha. He just put out a video on Alpha Protocol 10 years later and talked about it for 90 minutes.
Wow.
I love these like video essays. There's a lot of good stuff out there, man. It's just you just gotta find it. A 5-hour Witcher 2 video is not for everyone, but it is utterly fascinating.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I'm actually kind of surprised that you don't watch more YouTube channels, Scott.
There's just so much out there. I don't even know where to look. Like really, I mean, I guess you just have to kind of go down the rabbit hole. But part of my problem is I don't have the patience to. There's so many things that I want to be watching. I'd almost rather just find an old movie that I know I'm gonna like and just have on in the background or re-enjoy, than sift through or go down a rabbit hole on YouTube to try to find something that I'm gonna like.
I think that, and this is no offense because it happens to me every year. I think that is the turn of an old person.
Is it?
Is you start to just want the comforts of the things you like instead of taking the risk on something you might not like.
Well, it's not so much that because I've still watch a lot of new things. I started watching Queen's Gambit on Netflix this week, which is
tremendous, freaking
fantastic. And it's a show about chess, and it's great. You know what I mean? So I'm still watching new things. It's just you're right though. The comfort factor probably comes from the platform more than it being something new. You know what I mean? Like I'm comfortable with Netflix and Hulu. YouTube, there's just no rhyme or reason. It's just like a crapshoot. You know what I mean?
That is true. Yeah, you have to kind of get engaged with the algorithm.
Yeah, and I'm just not that familiar with it. So you're not wrong. It is an old man syndrome, but not for quite the same reason I think you're suggesting.
I'm just giving you a little bit of guff.
No, I didn't take offense to it. I'm old. I get it. Totally get it. Last question on Facebook comes from Kevin Honigford. He says, when you're reviewing a game and it turns out being one you don't like, what do you do to break up the monotony? Play a different game for a while or something else?
Power
what do
through.
You guys do? Yeah. Even if it's Tour de France, CB powers through.
Yep. Good job, CB.
It's just shut off my brain and power through if I don't like it. I mean, that because the biggest problem is, like, if I'm reviewing something and I don't just power through it and I get distracted by another game, I'm never going to want to go back to it.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
I know the feeling. It is tough to power through when the game really is not good, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know it's such a first world problem, right? Like, oh, here's a free game. Now you have to play it. But when you get a game like Elix or Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which the games I just did not enjoy, but had to play for over 70 hours, that sucks.
Yep.
But CB's right. You kind of have to power through, because if you start a different game, it's going to be impossible to force yourself to play that game for review. Like, there's always going to be well, maybe I'll just play an hour of Ghost of Tsushima and then I'll do, Elix. Right. But then you play that hour, you're like, I'll just do a couple more side quests. And all of a sudden you've wasted the night. And you're like, crap, I gotta get this review out.
Right.
And before you know
For me, sometimes I'll break it up with something that's not a new game, like one of my old tried and true favorites, like Undermine or Pinball FX or something like that, it's not going to be a huge distraction where it's going to keep me from going back to something, but I just need a break. So I might make a break with a comfort game more than the new and exciting game.
Like, I got through Elix, which I think, what did I get, like a 3.5?
Yeah,
something like that. So. Like, it was that game was abysmal, but I eventually had to be like, for every quest I complete, I can read one issue of a comic. Like, that's how I got myself through that game.
That's hilarious. Steve, did you have any?
Alcohol definitely helps.
On Tour de France, I imagine, yes.
Well, and the other reason why I like to stick on it, especially if it's a game that's going to have overly complex controls, and then you go play something else that has wildly different controls. When you try to get back into the game, you're like even more frustrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Tour de France, like I know we talk about it a lot. That was one of the worst gaming experiences I've ever had in my life. And I powered through for 8 hours on that damn game.
So do you, like, whenever something pops up available for review, do you, like, kind of give it a second pause now after that?
If it says Tour de France, yes. If not, I mean, I like every time like a shmup comes up, I immediately get a text from Scott. Hey, you want to review this one? I'm like, I need to take a break from shmups, man.
Yeah, I always send shmups to CB first.
That seems fair.
Yeah, it's definitely just a power through though, because the moment you break that concentration on that game, it can also lead to kind of looking at something through different colored glasses. Like, especially if you took like an extended break from something, be like, oh, I remember this being better or worse than it was when I was playing it at the time.
Interesting. That is it for Facebook. We need to move on, and we got to move a little quickly because we are running short on. I'm sorry to say that, but we got quite a few left. Let's go to Thomas Bex on Discord. He says, you get to interview two absolute legends of the gaming industry, but each of you must pick two different ones. Who would they be? Why? And what would be the question you'd ask him or her if you could only get to ask one? So what two gaming legends?
I know I picked two that you guys aren't going to pick, so.
Okay, go for it.
Nolan Bushnell.
All right.
Okay.
And I want to ask him, how did you just become such a beast?
Mm-hmm.
He would appreciate that question. He seems like a guy who likes himself.
Yeah. I like Nolan Bushnell because, I mean, Atari and Chuck E. Cheese.
No, hey, look, I'm a fan of Nolan Bushnell. It's just strikes me as a guy who's the hero of his own story.
Hell yeah. I like him. I mean? And then I would also want to interview Gabe Newell and ask him why he just hates his fan base.
Why he hates the number 3?
Yeah. Or his fan base in general.
All right.
So.
Zach, how about you?
Well, of course, Yoko Taro would be my first question. And I would answer it once and for all for the Nier fan base. I'd say, do you like Brother Nier or Father Nier more? Because that's a big debate, right? And that's what is my holdup with the remake, is that they only are doing Brother Nier, not Father Nier, because there were two different versions of the story. They're the identical story, but in the American version, you played as a father, and in the Japanese version, you play as a sibling. Yoko Taro has given different answers over the years on which one he prefers, so it has just caused utter chaos and confusion in the fan base. So I would just like for him to... I guess it really wouldn't count, because it would just be another answer in a sea of answers of him being asked about that, because he is a guy who likes to stir the pot. But it would be my question.
All right.
I would show him my tattoo and be like, you look me in the eye and say you don't like Father Nier more. I dare you. And then my other person would be Amy Hennig. Writer and director of Uncharted and Soul Reaver, stuff like that, Jak and Daxter. My question would be a little more scandalous. I would ask her what really went down on Uncharted 4.
Yeah,
because there's some behind-the-scenes drama we all are dying to hear about. I do want to ask her about her Star Wars game, of course, but I'm more interested on getting clarification on if she was pushed out or not, because we've heard so many stories over the years, and also her version of Uncharted 4 sounded way the hell cooler.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, because mine is very similar. Mine was going to be Kojima.
Oh, yeah.
I want to know what went down with Konami. I just want to hear it from him, and I want him to answer honestly. But my more fun question would be Shigeru Miyamoto. And the question I would like to ask Shigeru Miyamoto is what non-Nintendo property or title do you wish you had come up with, and why?
I would love if his answer was God of War.
Right.
Something just bloody. He's like, Gears of War would have been cool. If only I thought of the chainsaw gun first.
Yeah, it's good. David Newman says, it's 2030, and by some intervention from some higher power, all developers and publishers, indie and AAA, have decided they won't be releasing games every year because there are so many games out there. 1, would you be okay with this and prefer it? And 2, how many years would you like them to take off? Every other year? Every 3? Different schedule? What do you guys think? Won't be releasing games every year. Are you okay with that?
Yep, I'm okay with it. Every other year.
Same here. I can't keep up as it is.
For me, yeah, it sounds nice, but then you look at the movie industry and the way everyone's going stir crazy at a lack of new movies. And I think maybe it wouldn't be a great idea, but it would be nice if everyone just had a ceasefire on December and January. It's like, hey, Christmas and the month after, that's your catch-up time to get ready for the next year. That would be nice. So I guess different schedule, David.
So yeah, we're okay with it every other year.
It's hard not to be when there's 400 games coming out every week, it feels like.
It seems like it.
If it was every other year, I want them to stick that. You have 2 years. There should be almost zero reason for delays or any of that.
Oh, they couldn't delay into the next year because the higher power says you can't release. So Cyberpunk would be sweating bullets pushing to December.
Right.
Yep.
So that brings up another question. Is Cyberpunk now a contender for 2021 Game of the Year? And will people have remembered that game that far?
I think they're just trying to get away from their ad campaign, honestly.
Yeah.
Please forget about our game for a little bit. We overhyped it too much.
I don't think it's their fault. I think it's the Witcher fan base's fault. But to answer your question, Scott, it is Jeff Keighley's already confirmed is eligible for next year's voting. Will people remember is a whole other question, because I do think proximity has a lot to do with award season.
Well, yeah, same thing with the movie industry and the Oscars. That's why all those.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Carmel Bear says you're able to pick your own team of 5 to develop your own video game. You're allowed 1 veteran, referring to most experience in the industry, to assist with the project. Who would you pick as your veteran, and who would the other people be? I'll cheat a little bit. What would your story be about? Boy, this is a complicated question here. The team of 5 does include you for a challenge, or does not, to make the selection easier. Your choice, guys. I feel like I have to reread this question.
It is quite a complicated scenario.
Team of 5, 1 veteran, and who would be my veteran, and who would the other 4 be? And then I also have to answer what my story would be about. I mean, my easy. I said that in the last question, but Miyamoto, he's as innovative as it gets. That's my veteran for sure. Who would I want him to collaborate with? Oh boy,
that's tough. Like, and also, are we talking exclusively game developers, or can I bring Michael Jordan on board for a basketball game? You know what I mean?
Oh, it's your team. You do whatever you want, man.
I guess that's fair.
We could also put musical artists or composers.
Oh yeah, that's a great point.
Are we gonna make Revolution X again?
Let's do this just for the sake of time. Let's the 3 of us put together a 5-man team.
I think I almost had mine, but
oh, you do?
Okay,
go ahead.
Well, I don't want to. I do have a pitch for a video game. I'm not going to share it on this podcast because one day I'm going to make it. But my veteran would be Cory Barlog.
Sure,
because
it's on my list.
We're going to do a Green Lantern game finally. I'm going to be on board. I'm going to co-write it with Jeff Johns. So there's 3 of them. And I know Cory Barlog you can see in interviews him wearing a Green Lantern ring. He's a huge Green Lantern fan. Or in a documentary they did about Kratos, he's wearing a Green Lantern shirt for a fair bit of it. So I know he'll care. In terms of composer, I'm going to go with Jason Graves. He did the Tomb Raider and the Dead Space. I really like that guy. He's a huge talent. And you know what? We'll say Nolan North is going to be my Hal Jordan. And then there we go, 5 people.
All right.
What's
like
up?
It.
Yeah.
CB, do you have one?
Yeah. See, this is definitely a question that I'm a little handicapped on because I'm not as familiar with all the developers as you guys are.
I'm not as familiar as Zach is. I'm probably more familiar than you are, but not as well as Zach is.
You got to watch all these video game documentaries on YouTube, guys. Learn some people.
Yeah, apparently.
Yeah, I'm trying to brush up more. So, I mean, the only names that ever popped in my head are Ed Boon and John Tobias.
Yeah, I mean, those guys are legends.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to make a.
You can only pick one of the 2 though on your squad.
Yeah, only one veteran.
Only one major veteran.
Actually, if I had to pick somebody, it would probably be John Carmack.
Mm-hmm.
Just because
I'm surprised you didn't say him first, honestly.
I've always been more of a Romero fan, but John Carmack is probably the more superior coding guy.
Well, he's gonna bring something to the table you're not expecting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that dude is an absolute beast. But yeah, I'd want to work with John Carmack and myself, and probably just my friends, and be let's just make some indie clone of Wolfenstein, but be ridiculous with it.
I think I'm gonna go more the indie style game, the pixelated. I don't even know exactly what kind of game, but like I said, my veteran's going to be Miyamoto just because the innovation that guy has. But I wanted to get him in bed with some other indie developers. Some of them are, I don't know if you'd call them veterans at this point, but Mike Bithell. Boy, what's the guy's name that did Super Meat Boy? Come on, Zach, help me out.
Ed McMillan.
Ed McMillan. There you go. And
Tommy Refreens.
And the guy from Joaquin that we were just talking about, his last name is escaping me, that did Iconoclast.
Joaquin Sandberg.
Yeah, I would get guys
for this stuff after all.
Yeah, I know. I would get a team of indie developers headed by Miyamoto to pull innovation out of all these guys.
Just do something just to cross some mayhem.
Well, just to bring him back in the fold anyway. I would just love to. What's that dude been doing ever since?
What kind of ideas he's cooking up?
Oh man, could you imagine if he's actually been cooking up Fez 2 this entire time and just not told anybody about it?
That's my conspiracy theory.
You think he is?
I think so.
It's gonna be a PS5 exclusive.
That guy's ego is not gonna let him not do it.
Right. He's got to be doing something.
Exactly.
He didn't make enough money off of Fez. I don't think.
His ego does let him storm off in a hissy fit on the internet, but his ego is not going to let him not also try to prove everybody wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Interesting question, Caramel Bear. Sorry it took me so a while such a long time to figure out what you're trying to ask. But last one comes from Twitter. And
what
this
about
one's
Drew
thanks
Ross? Are you cutting off Drew Ross?
Oh, did I forget Drew Ross? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
you did.
If you could play out any movie scene in video game form, what movie scene and what type of game would it be to play out that scene?
CB claims he had a good answer for this one, so I want to hear this guy.
Basically, all of John Wick.
Yeah. Well, they did make a John Wick video game.
John Wick hacks.
Yeah.
I don't think I appreciate what that game was going for, but John Wick does not scream strategy puzzler to me.
No, I know. It's just been funny.
Like it's hard for me because I really want something that high intensity. Because I was actually thinking about this. Like my first thought was from Kingsman, the church shootout.
Oh my god!
Just
you
because
play that?
Heck yeah! Like just
That's
the
a little messed up, man.
And then my brain went to Kill Bill, the Crazy 88 fight.
Oh, that'd be good.
That'd be cool.
And then I was just like, you know what? John Wick. Just all of John Wick. Just make that into a video game, and I just want to play it and be in that universe.
That's
I like it. Zach?
I mean, my answer about a very specific scene was the hallway scene in the Matrix where Neo finds out he's the one. Just making it interactive, you stopping the bullets and then just eviscerating those agents. But that's another Keanu answer. I don't know how like you would do that in gameplay and make it cool other than a QTE or something. I know I'm a fan of QTEs, and I know a lot of people aren't. I just think that scene is so powerful. The way that one agent just like runs away. But the Matrix in general desperately needs a good video game.
There was one that was supposedly good.
It wasn't.
Path of Neo.
Path of Neo was okay, but they've never made a good one, let alone a great one. But
right.
they made two that were fine.
Matrix Online had potential.
Yes.
And I know we probably differ on our opinions of the second and third movies in that franchise, but I feel like the second and third movies would make even better games.
Yeah, well,
there's just so much potential.
I love movies 2 and 3 to absolute death.
I have one. Well, first off, it's funny you said the hallway scene in Matrix because I was going to say the hallway scene in oh my goodness,
Old Boy.
Yeah.
I mean that scene was basically a video game shot, right? By the way, go watch Old Boy if you've not seen Old Boy. Not the American version, the Japanese version. Do not watch it in front of your kids. Just trust me. But that movie, wow, that movie. No, but there's a movie that I've always wondered why it never made it into a video game. Granted, it came out in the 90s, but it would have made a perfect 90s video game. Was The Rock?
Oh yeah.
How did The Rock never become a video game? You're going around trying to disarm all of these missiles in Alcatraz. That is a perfect setup for a video game.
I mean, that's kind of like every Call of Duty game ever.
Yeah, pretty much.
They made several Die Hard games. You think they could whip out a Rock game?
That's true. Man, that Die Hard trilogy game was pretty good.
What about was it Die Hard Vendetta on GameCube and Xbox, PS2?
Yes, it was.
The first-person shooter.
I don't remember that one. Vendetta?
Yep, Die Hard Vendetta.
Because it like the final bullet you shot at like every level was like a slow motion zoom up, and you could see the bullet rippling through the air. It was pretty cool. I think Ode to Joy played while you. I think you could like get a super mode, and Ode to Joy played while you did it.
Oh, nice.
The Beethoven song. I'm pretty sure. Like anyway, like the song you get when you finish a Pega level, you got when you got supercharged in Die Hard.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yes,
that is Ode to Joy. You're right.
Yes.
Though the scene that stood out to me the most, just in terms of like, I would actually want to play it out is, and this is random, but the scene in, I believe it was Air Force One, when they were trying to refuel the plane in midair. Do you remember that? And they had to like adjust the height or whatever, and then the fuel line got caught on fire and blew up the actual tanker plane. I don't know. I just think that would make a cool scene where they're trying to hijack, or they're trying to, use that as a way to get onto the plane, and then something catches fire. That just would be a very Jerry Bruckheimer video game moment.
That would be great in VR.
In VR, yes. So that's the one that stood out to me. All right, sorry, Drew, I almost missed your question, and sorry, CB, I know you had a good answer. I did not mean to skip over it. Last one officially is from Twitter. This one's thanks to Zach, because he actually asked for this one, and one of his followers responded, Mr. Toon, at ToonStyle1981, what was the first game that you got with your own money, not money that your parents gave you, but the money you worked for?
The Legend of Zelda on NES.
That's the very first game you bought for yourself.
That I bought with my own money.
Nice.
I bought it a swap meet with
Very cool.
allowance money.
Zach?
I want to say it's kind of hard to remember right when you're a kid, but I think it was either Harvest Moon 64 or the Pokemon trading card game on Game Boy.
Wow.
I think it had to be one of those.
I think mine was Mario Kart 64. Might have been the first one I bought. I don't think I ever bought myself a Super Nintendo game. I rented games with my own money. I don't know that I ever purchased a Nintendo or Super Nintendo game with my own money. It's
only because my stepdad, who I lived with for 2 years and was the only happy childhood years of my life, he would give us. He wanted us to do karate with him so bad that he would give us each. At the end of the session, we could get Subway for dinner, or we could get $5 each. So
doing karate?
For doing karate, something he had to pay for. But he also lived in his parents' basement, so he had a lot of expendable income.
That's such an odd story.
But often my brothers would override me when we get Subway. But when I got the $5, I would save it because I wanted to get some Game Boy games.
Who would choose Subway over $5?
I agreed, because it's not like he wasn't not gonna feed us.
Right, you're not going to go hungry.
But he had it all worked out, because it was right across the street from the dojo.
And what a weird thing to offer to a kid. Like, are kids super excited about Subway?
My littlest brother, to this day, obsessed with Subway.
Really?
It's his favorite.
Is that why you hate Subway?
I don't hate it. It's just that's the only thing you want to eat in Los Angeles, Scott. That was my problem with it. We're surrounded by food we've never heard of before. You're like, yeah, Subway sounds great.
Says the guy who wanted nothing but Taco Bell.
Well, that's an exception to every rule, of course. But yeah, that's just so weird. You want to hear more childhood stories like that? Listen to Smirk, the podcast.
All right. Well, next week we will have another topic. Thank you to everybody who wrote in. This was a super long episode, but I hope you enjoyed it. That's going to do it for this episode. Zach, any parting words before we get out of here?
I don't know what else I could possibly have to say. I would say watch The Mandalorian, but is there anyone else out there who thought the Mandalorian season premiere was good but not great? Is there anyone else out there?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm happy to hear that, because people I'm talking to are acting like the second coming of television as we know it has arrived. And while I agree Timothy Olyphant is dead sexy, the episode was not exceptional.
Did we know he was in it before?
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't remember if I knew that. It did not feel like a season premiere, except for the reveal at the end, right?
Right.
Like the reveal at the end felt like a season premiere kind of situation, but the episode itself felt like a filler episode.
Yeah, kind of.
With that said, I really liked it.
The Big Bad was pretty good.
Great Dragon. Yeah, hey, that was great. Little Coach War reference that you got the pearl and everything. It felt like such an Easter egg, the episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is fun. It's fun to see the Easter eggs. They're just kind of like, I do wish the show would make up its mind if it wants to be serialized or episodic, but it cannot.
That's true. CB?
Yeah, I got nothing this week, man.
All right.
No, correction. After talking comics last week with Zach, I was going through my collection. I actually found that I had the trade for Constantine Original Sins.
Oh, nice. Yes. Yeah, you sent me a picture of this.
I've been reading through it, and man, I forgot how good that series is. It is. Once I'm done, I'm actually going to send it to you. So
that would be very exciting. I just read Batman Hush. That is also very good. It was worth most of the hype. Sorry, Scott, get out of here.
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah. Mine I already mentioned. Queen's Gambit on Netflix is most definitely worth a watch. I haven't finished it. I'm on season 5, but Anna Taylor-Joy is one of those actresses that I cannot decide if she's attractive or not. But she's fascinating to watch regardless. She is very interesting. I just really am intrigued by that show a great deal. So don't pass on it just because it's about chess. It's a lot more than that, and I really, really enjoy her performance. So.
The reason I want to watch it is because it is about chess.
Well, and it was an attraction for me too. I loved like Searching for Bobby Fischer and other movies like that. So I absolutely loved it.
Chess fiction gets me off.
All right. There's your episode title right there.
Wow.
Well, anyway, if you're still here, thanks for listening to The Gaming Outsider. Just a reminder, it is produced by Nate Lucas, and all the music you hear is written and performed by Grant Henry of Stemage and Metroid Metal. His website is stemagemusic.com, STEMAGE music.com. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zach Parkerson and Chris Behrensmeyer, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.